No, wait. You know what?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi,
That
guys.
was an attempt at Kat doing a puppet show, and her internet is so humiliated with it, it's decided to kick her off. Oh no, she is still here.
I'm back. Sorry. My
No intro
Internet's
tonight. Due
oh my god. The internet's gonna be a problem again, I think.
Are you still with me?
I am. I'm just gonna go and try and fix this internet. Talk among yourselves. Mike, sorry, I'm gonna have to leave you for 2 seconds.
Oh dear. So, guys, welcome along to hopefully another Blether with. Hopefully, you can hear me, and we can have a wee chat while Kat is once again resetting her internet, and our guest is coming on. So, I'm just having a look at the chat you guys are having as you talk amongst yourselves. So we'll pick up on that. Good evening, Tim. Good evening, Dave. Frank, how are you? And Scott is on. We've got, who else is in? That's Jura. Good evening to you as well. Welcome, everyone. And here we are having another Blether with. Tonight's guest is going to be Luke from Unkiltered Independent Bottlers, part of the Patience Whisky group. So I'll let Luke tell you all about that when he arrives. Quite an interesting story with Luke, which I'm really looking forward to chatting with him about. We bumped into them or Kat bumped into Luke at the Fife Whisky Festival, and he was keen to jump on with a Blether to let everyone know what it is he and his sister are doing at Unkiltered, which a little bit fun, a little bit of interesting, some different stuff. But I'll let Luke talk to you about all of that. What have you been picking up off the shelves recently? Dave, I've seen you are on the 10-year-old Tom and Tow. That's the Infrequent Flyers, part of the Sherry Bomb Association, Whisky Association group. Deployment, I put deployment there on number 9, I think it is. Hello, how are you?
I don't know. Oh, I don't think my internet's any better. I'm just going to sit quietly. I hope you've got some good stories.
I think so, yeah. I think it's going to be interesting listening. He's got such a fun history. I have spoken to Olympian before, but not with a dram. So that would be quite cool.
Talking of which,
what else have we got? The looking at what people are drinking. +1, which is a fantastic dram. I should have taken my bottle up, actually. I don't know if you tried that one. It's distillery with 1% of a wee grain whiskey, so it's classed as a blend. 99+1, obviously, related to 99% of it is single malt, and 1% of it is a grain. So really, if you like sherry and peat, absolutely stunning whiskey to get your hands on.
Oh my god.
Clunky. Not one I've heard of. It was not hanging about. We can talk about a little bit later on. Why don't we? Let's come back around to that, Dave. In essence, yes, it's true, and but we'll tell you all about that when we're. of any Caribbean cask, a classic, attainable favourite, might move on to your Inverurie Whisky Shop exclusive. Yeah, absolutely, you should. The Caribbean cask is an absolute classic, isn't it? It's one of these drams that is probably in 90% of people's top 10 list. So reliable, so consistent, and it's an attainable favourite. It's brilliant whiskey. Tim picked up the lemon. Yes, yeah. It's really cool. It's a Calvados finish, Balber Calvados finish. It's really quite interesting. Are you with me? No, she's gone again. Oh dear. Well, the good thing is our guest is here, so hopefully he's having. Here we go. Here we are. Is he coming? It's maybe my internet. Let me know, guys, if you're at home, you're watching, and you can hear me. Look, hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Hey. We are having loads of fun with the internet just now. Cat has dropped it.
I actually was wondering if that was my connection or yours.
I think it was mine. I think that's why Cat getting kicked out. I've sorted my end, so hopefully when she comes back home, we're all good. I'm blaming her, but I think it was actually me. I'll just send her a quick message. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I'm a bit late. I was on the driving range playing a bit of golf there, just checking my phone. Saw the email come through, and I didn't know if it was happening or not because we hadn't spoken before. So I was like, "Oh, I could be home in 20 minutes."
Oh, sorry to get you off the range on a fine night.
Yeah, you've saved me a load of pain from hitting some bad shots and having to watch them.
Did it start off badly? You'll have to ask Kat about the golf when she comes in. She loves golf. She knows all about it.
Well, I'm a very terrible golfer, but hence why I'm at the range to try and sort that out.
Right. Okay. I've heard a rumor that you're not a bad sailor, though.
Sailing is probably more my thing than golf. Yeah, I'm more of a water boy than a land lover. So I'm trying to find my feet on land a little bit. I'm much more comfortable out in the water.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's pretty crazy. I've just said to Kat, I don't think I have spoken to one other Olympian, but you're the second person.
Who was the first?
Hannah Miley.
Oh yeah. She's cool.
She's from Inverurie.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I went to the same swimming club as her, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was a couple of years ahead of her. I say a couple. I'm giving myself a lot more credit there, but about 10 years ahead of her. But her dad taught me to swim. Her dad.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
Was one of my teachers. I'm not sure what you call it. Coaches.
Coaches.
Yeah. So I knew Hannah, or knew of Hannah coming through, and obviously being in Inverurie, spoke to her a couple of times at kind of local events and things. Yeah, really nice girl, really successful swimmer as well.
She was always was it Smiley Miley, wasn't it? She was always the smiliest athlete out there. So yeah, it's cool.
She absolutely was. Yeah, you could always see it. But yeah, from sailing to swigging, I suppose. Was whiskey always part of your journey, or is that something that came later on?
Yeah, I kind of, well, I'll tell you so we've all got the story of Jack Daniels puking at a house party, don't we? And saying that we hate whiskey because of that. But funnily enough, I was actually was at a training camp in a city called Qingdao, which is about an hour south of Beijing. Right. It was building up to the 2008 Olympics. I was actually a nipper then. I was just a training partner, cannon fodder, for the guys and girls that were actually selected to go and compete. I would have been, don't know what age I would have been, maybe 19, something like that, 18, 19. Anyway, so we had a day off the next day, and it was a training camp building up to the games. So my one of my elders that said, right, come on, we're all off out to the bar to have a few drinks and relax. It's a few months out from the game still, day off the next day. We don't make a habit of it as athletes, just to be clear. But and so anyway, we went to this bar in Qingdao called Qingdao called New York. So there we were. And I remember that there was a band playing. They were amazing. They were playing most of Queen's best hits, basically. And so my friend, his name's Joe Glanfield, he said, right, come on, let's have a whiskey. You're a Scotsman. What whiskey do you like? And I was like, I don't like whiskey. That's not really my thing. And he was like, rubbish. You have to like it. It's in your heritage as a Scotsman. It's part of your country and what everything stands for. So we had I think it was a Chivas 12-year-old and plenty of ice at that point. And I actually enjoyed it. I genuinely enjoyed my first whiskey, and that sent me on this journey of loving whiskey. We would take whiskey to all the corners of the globe when we have finished all our competitions, our training camps, and we'd let our hair down before getting on the flights home. And so, yeah, my introduction to whiskey was with an Englishman in an American bar called New York, in a weird city in China. Terrible thing to say. When I say weird, a lesser known city, Glasgow is a weird city, so a lesser known city, and off I went on my journey. And actually, I just fell in. I fell in love with the theater of it, the deep history, as well as the glorious liquid itself. But I really loved what whiskey stands for, how it was made, and the hundreds of years of history that still stand today with it all. So that was what kicked me off my journey. And then, sure enough, every birthday, every Christmas, another bottle. And now I've got hundreds of bottles and oodles of passion for it.
It's amazing. We were talking to Stuart Dick last week from Torrevieja just the other day, and we're saying it's funny how nobody starts off as a whiskey geek. Nobody really starts off being in love with it. They start off with a dram, and then it hooks them in, and you get pulled into this wonderful world and industry of history and romance, right. Science.
Do you know as well? I can't tell you how well. It is so different from my experience in sport. Sport is cards close to your chest, no information movement, even to the point of throwing curveballs out there to maybe get your competitors thinking you're doing something different to what you're actually doing, like actively portraying the wrong image of what's actually happening on purpose, which is just sport, and so I'm used to this environment that is like that, and I've come into this whiskey space now, running Unkiltered, and it is the friendly folk that are there telling you what they're doing and explaining the trip ups they've had and all of that, which is just so nice. From 20 years of fighting, it's nice to start something which I know everyone's competitors still different brands. I get that, but it's a million miles from what sport's like. in a good way.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that, because unfortunately I don't have one of your bottles, but I have got one of your rivals' bottles with me tonight.
Oh yeah, little brown dog. Yeah.
Little brown dog, guys. This is the 30-year-old Strathclyde. So I'm just going to pop this one open. 30-year-old for.
Hi, Kat, by the way.
Hello. I'm so sorry for the monumental fuck about. Sorry, guys, it was not Watershed, but like my internet, Mike's internet.
That's
like,
all right. My absence as well.
No, that's not your fault. That's not your fault. Is that the tonic tea cake one, Mike?
It is. It is.
Oh, that's cool.
I can't decide what to pour. I've got a Milton Duff 2011 sat here from the Octave, but I've also got a load of Paul John up there, Indian whiskey that I might go and pour. I'm undecided. I'm going to jump off camera and choose a bottle.
What was I just wait to say? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, we're talking tonic tea cake.
Yeah, I know. So, like, I hate tonic tea cakes. Can't stand them.
That's blasphemy.
Sorry. I hate marshmallow. It's like it reminds me of polystyrene, and I hate polystyrene. So, like,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. But I nearly poured a little brown dog tonight. So I'm glad I didn't, because Andrew would be getting way too much free publicity. But I haven't got his Ardmore bottle, but I was over at Ardmore working today. So Andrew was over at Ardmore a couple of weeks ago to get photographs, obviously, for launching the whiskey, and they wanted to colour match the label to the furnaces.
Oh, the brickwork. It's a brick, isn't it?
Yeah, the brickwork, sorry, yeah. So I thought it's so cool because it's such a good match. And I was showing all the guys at Ardmore the photographs that Andrew took, because I was meant to be over the day he went over to take the pictures. And I wasn't, because I was sick. And that day we had some steam engine enthusiasts who were at Ardmore Distillery too, because there's a steam engine there. So I know how much of a geek Andrew is. So I was like, Andrew, you would love these guys. You should take them around. So Andrew ended up taking pictures. Yeah, Andrew ended up with the steam engine enthusiasts taking pictures for the Ardmore release. So I didn't do Andrew's release, but I've got an Ardmore because I was like over there today. So I've gone for Lady of the Glen. It's a bit of a
nice
just now. So yeah, that's what I've got. That's what I've got tonight. There we go.
Love it.
Super. So
and you
it's
been Glasgow. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, look, was it the Glasgow distillery you held up there?
I went and picked that up. Yeah. So they're cognac finish.
Oh wow!
But so I've not tried this yet. But one of the perks of being at these whiskey shows is maybe at the end of the show there's maybe a wee, hey, do you want to swap a bottle or something, or a half poured bottle? Not sure if I should be saying that or not. Don't know why it makes any difference otherwise. So I did a wee bottle swap here with the Glasgow guys, and what I like about this is, I'm just reading it now, is that it is been through 5 separate casks allegedly. And I like that because we've done a whiskey. We did a 12-year-old Tanninich that we personally put it through 4 casks, but we bought it obviously in a cask. So the liquid itself has been through 5 casks. So I remember saying at one of the shows, like, you won't drink a whiskey under this many casks. And someone said, actually, Glasgow have done one that's been in 5 as well. So
that's when I tried when I met you for the first time at Fife. Yeah, at Fife. And trying to explain to somebody who hadn't had lunch that had gone through 5 casks, who'd also had quite a lot to drink, I was like, go and explain that again. Actually, just one. But it was lovely.
It's great, isn't it? It's a wild ride, that dram. It's a full smash and journey of flavour.
It is. I think that's kind of like what kind of sums up your bottles, because all of them are like not your classic releases. You know, it's not like as much as I love Kalila, it's quite a common independent bottler dram, isn't it, to pop out? I think they've just produced quite a lot of whiskey, don't they? But like you guys, like you had the Glenturret there, and you had like I'm not even going to try and say Tinenich, because I can't say it.
Well, I say Tinenich, but maybe someone will say that's not how you pronounce it either.
I have no idea. I'm not the person to ask for that one. And they're all in quite unusual casks. Like you're using them. Go on, Mike. What are you saying?
I think it's just Tinenich.
Tinenich.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like anaesthetist. I just can't. It's just two words I never need to say in my life. Hopefully.
Never need to say. Yeah.
So yeah, quite funky casks, quite unusual releases.
Yeah. I think there's I really enjoy. It depends what mood I'm in. Like I if I want to discover a new whiskey, I'll often buy and it's a distillery maybe I haven't yet drunk from. I do like to buy what might be labeled their production bottle or their statement of what their character is. Just not all distilleries do that, but let's say it's your standard. I don't know. Let's just say a Glenfiddich 12-year-old, for example, or whatever. As I like to go in with the bottle that they're producing more en masse to get a picture of what they're about. So I do really enjoy going into more subtle notes that might talk about what they maybe did fermentation times or how they cool the spirit or whatever it may be. But equally, I love drams that are just bursting with flavor, and we're not a distillery, so we sit much. That's where we lie. Is what tasty drams can we create using wood, which I know everyone's doing. So we're not different in any sense, but we do like to make it as creative as possible, not for creativity's sake, but to try and draw out and pull out a balanced body of flavors that work well together, depending on the character of the initial whiskey that we're buying, and smash that into a bottle. So that's why, so we've done that through either multiple cask finishing or splitting casks, and bringing bigger casks into smaller casks, and then maybe doing a sister bottling and things like that, so that we can really sort of see the influence of wood over relatively short times, I would say. And drawing down cask size is a great vehicle to accelerating flavor in the glass, I find, because obviously we get more contact with the wood and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's good fun and attempting to keep it smooth all the time. So our ABVs are a wee bit higher. We're always sitting above the 50s, and it's important for me anyway to be able to drink our whiskey at that strength, but not get the first thing you get is just an ethanol hit. Trying to create smoothness. I think that's possibly achieved by drawing out these different flavors from different woods, so you get a hit of something that isn't just the ethanol of it all. So it's good fun. It's kind of experimental. It's an idea in mind, and then it's just taking a step forwards into the unknown and sampling often and seeing if it's going the way we want it to be going.
It's really interesting. Like on your point there, I was speaking to one of the master blending team was over at Ardmore today, so I was having a good chat with her, and I was down at our master blending lab 2 weeks ago, our blending lab, and I kind of had gone in imagining it's going to be like this big white clinical scientific kind of almost medical kind of facility. And I went in and there's a beautiful big dresser full of bottles, and there was bottles everywhere, and there was a tub of biscuits sitting out, and I got offered a custard cream, and it was completely the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. And I was saying to this lady today, it was very different from what I imagined, and she's like, it's like that. It's the coming together of two worlds, isn't it? It's science and creativity, because a lot of what you're doing, a lot of what they're doing is actually artistry. It's creativity. It's it's sensory, it's flavor. So it's the bringing together of those two worlds. So it shouldn't just be white and scrubbed and clinical. It has to be a mashup of that two spaces to create flavor and kind of understand how flavor is made, but also play around with what you can do with that. So
yeah, I totally agree. there's a bit of alchemy in it. I've done a lot of experiments at home by buying just wee 1 litre casks. You just buy them off Master Malt or wherever, and doing wee experiments, because everything happens so quickly, and something that small can get a vibe of where that will take the flavor by doing, season a cask briefly, put some whiskey, and taking it up. And Aldi and Lidl are great because they're pumping out great whiskey, in all honesty, at about 17 quid or whatever it might be. And so and they just do a Speyside, an Islay, and a Highland usually, don't they? Just get a range of 3, and they're brilliant. And so I just buy that en masse and just do a bit of experimenting in the house. I made what I would probably consider the worst whiskey in the known world. So I did a can of Guinness in. Now it's nothing to do with the Guinness, but a can of Guinness in the cask. Probably left it too long. Pulled it out, didn't drink it. That was straight down the drain. Put whiskey in. Probably left whiskey in for too long as well, and it was honestly, it didn't even. I'm not even cooking with it. It was that bad. It's just going in to strip the paint off the walls from here. It was awful. So it goes wrong now and then, but it's good fun. Did a Buckfast cask, epic.
Oh wow!
I've heard of something else in a Buckfast cask as well. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. How did the color come out?
I kind of as you'd expect. It got rouge and ruby. Definite flavor of a fortified wine. I mean, but I think it was recognizable as specifically Bucky. It was. I think maybe it's because I knew it was already in there, perhaps, but. It was good. I still got the bottle. Like it goes back into the bottle and then gets used.
If you're ever allowed to release that as a whiskey, can you call it Bucky Rouge? Because it just makes it like a little bit kind of like upmarket,
like
doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well,
or something. Superhero.
Me and my brother-in-law Fraser, we created what we call the Monk Royale for Christmas Day. So it's, instead of your Bucks Fizz, we've got a wee glass of champagne topped up with just a dusting of Buckfast. So we've got the Monk Royale as our morning drink on Christmas Day. So anyone's listening can take, but just make sure you it's a trademarked, copyrighted drink now.
Yeah, no, definitely. They don't have to raise a glass to you on Christmas morning with our Well. I was just going to say, in answer to Rick's question, no, I'm not wearing a cat patterned top. This is just what I look like underneath my clothing. So there you go. Carry on, Mike.
Yeah, thank you for setting up. PX Woodhouse is saying, there's a comment on YouTube, really appreciate and refreshed by the honest info shared in the Unkiltered website. Ex-bourbon, Oloroso, Virgin Oak, fresh oak, and then the virgin cask. So yeah, you're getting the guys appreciate that, and I think you kind of mentioned it at the start of the evening about the openness and honesty and how everyone's kind of there to kind of be supportive. And is that's something that you've learned pretty quickly, that let's just tell everyone everything that we do, and they appreciate that honesty and kind of get the trust that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so my sister Anna and I, when we started Unkiltered, we're a trio now with Ryan Grant. He joined in October or something last year. But anyway, when my sister Anna and I first started talking, really important for us to, I'm drawn to brands, whatever field they may be in, that are open and honest. And I don't mind if they say things like, by the way, whatever it might be, we are not using sustainable plastic right now, but our goal is that, we're currently looking at and we're aware that this isn't a good bit of our company, blah, blah, blah. And I'm drawn to brands just rather than hide behind the bullshit. They're just open and honest. No one's perfect. No, it's not. We're creating whiskey here. We're not changing the world. We're using a wonderful liquid to bring people together and have nice conversations, and remember that the only thing we're actually doing is living and breathing, and that's all there is to it. And I think whiskey is a great vehicle to just stopping the world spinning, relax, enjoy, have a chat. But we're not changing the world, and so it's really important for us to be just transparent about what we're doing, because I think that people deserve that. If they're putting money in their pockets to buy something that we've created, they deserve to know the ins and outs of it, especially if they're putting it in their body, so and so, yeah, it was always from the get-go, we wanted to hopefully come across as intimate, and that you could reach out and touch us, and it's not a front. We're hoping that is what is the case, because we want to, and if it's not, we'd love to hear that it's not, so that we can make those changes, so yeah, that was never in discussion in any other way other than we'll be open. There'll be transparency running through what we do, I'd buy products myself because folk are like that, so it was important that we were the same.
I think it's such a good point, because there's like certain companies that release expressions that have a beautiful brand story in the front of it. There's a picture of a wren and like a little brook, and it's talking about like, the droplets of water coming off its wings and stuff. You're like, yeah, but what barrel's it in? Like, you're like, that's beautiful, but like, what barrel's it in? Like, you can't get the information. You're kind of like looking at it, trying to figure it out. Like, okay, it doesn't need to matter as much, but it's just nice to have that information. Yeah. And it's more relevant to me than the little wren with the water on its wings. I mean, I like birds. It's just, I think honesty is good. Transparency is good.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's definitely. I think it's important to, if especially at a certain price point. I think if you're charging, and I don't know what that is. Everyone's got their own perception of what a price point that requires more info is. We all have a different view on that. But if I'm putting my hand in my pocket to buy something that's nearing 100 quid, I want to know every single thing about that. I want to know everything. I want to know when the barley was cut. I want to know because that's if I'm buying something for 20 quid down Tesco's, fine, whatever, I don't care. I'm probably buying it for different reasons. But if you're an enthusiast and you like the I don't know, the wonderful mechanism that is behind making a cool bottle of whiskey, then I think it's important. I know not everyone does it. That's fine. Naming no names.
Yeah.
I think it's, as whiskey tends to get more expensive, it never gets cheaper, does it? It always tends to go one way. These are great ways of giving the customer that added value that, the whiskey is probably the same value across no matter who's bottling it. But if you can add that perceived value, they'll maybe go for your £80 bottle over somebody else's £80 bottle because they know exactly what has happened to that cask and they get that information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was first getting into, starting to, I guess you could say, collect whiskey, but I would collect it to open it and I was collecting information on my palate more than anything, trying different drams and stuff, and it was only when I started to learn, and it was self-research and go through it all a bit more, that I realized I bought a bunch of bottles that at some point that I knew nothing about. There was no age statement on it, for example. It might have said a double cask. Well, what casks? Now the non-age statement thing's not an issue. Like, there's no, I've drank whiskey, it tastes amazing at 3 years old. I've new make because it's amazing. It's not about that the age matters as such, but some of the prices I was paying were premium prices for stuff that was as I look back now, I do wonder to myself, like, was that 3 years old in one day? And I've put my 85 quid, so anyway, I don't want to make this a conversation about price, because that's boring, quite frankly. Price is a boring subject.
I think we are seeing more confidence in younger spirits. People aren't afraid to put a vintage of, we've got our current exclusive, the 2021 Octave, so that is 3 years old.
Yeah.
It's a banging dram. But guys at Glasgow are putting on 5, 6 years old. And there's so much confidence from the consumer as well that good whiskey can be young.
100%.
And we're not scared of picking up a 5-year-old or a
100%.
anymore.
Yeah. A friend of mine has a cask from a distillery that I won't name, but and he gets a sample every year from new make, and I think it's 4 years old, maybe something like that. Honestly, it is phenomenal. He's like, when do you think I should ask to bottle it, Luke? And I'm like, well, I mean, it was good at new make, so it might keep getting smoother or sweeter or whatever, but you could bottle it now at 3 years old. It's fantastic. So, exactly. Age doth not matter in the whiskey world.
I think you need more different ages out there, because I think a lot of people think that whiskey has to be a certain age. I see it quite a bit in the distillery, and I used to see it quite a bit at the shop as well. Like, there's this preconception that up at whiskey, like, if, let's say, you saw a 13-year-old on the shelf, people like, a 13-year-old whiskey, what does that mean? That means 13 years old. Like, but people think it's got to be 21, 18, 12, or like 10. Like, people can't get past this idea that it doesn't need to be this set age, that it's ready when it's ready. But it's because we don't see enough alternatives on the shelf that awareness is not there either yet. It can be a 3-year-old whiskey and good.
Exactly.
But yeah, until we all start doing that a bit more, that's not going to get translated out to anybody else. So
have you seen there's a Canadian distillery, I don't know how you pronounce it, maybe it's almost like Anok, a Coney, or I'm not doing it justice here. I'll Google it in a minute. So the head boy there, I met him once. He's a great lad. And whilst you wait, he's produced some of his new make at different ages, probably, I guess it's 6 months old, right up to 2.5 years old, I'm assuming. And the brand and the label is, I think it's called This Is Not Whiskey. Like, that's or Not Whiskey, maybe, perhaps. Brilliant. Great marketing, for one. Because then people go, well, what the hell is it then? So, and he's telling the story of the journey of his distillery and the aging of his spirit through releasing different staged new makes. Now, I know there's other, I know that Holyrood have been doing that and stuff like that. So it's all cool, but I just love the way he's done it over there in Canada. With it's telling a story. Bottle to bottle is taking on a story. Brilliant. Great label, great name. It's just cool as. I've not got a bottle, so I'm not a sales rep for him, but it's just I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I can't remember which distillery. I think it's maybe Arbicki Distillery. Have got they show you the different stages of maturation as well. So you see it from new make spirit, and it shows you over the years how it takes on color and stuff up to full maturation. I think that process is really interesting as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
When Ardbeg reopened, they did something similar, didn't they? The Too Young, and they had a range that was whiskey that was.
Did they?
Really young. It was Too Young and just about there or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
But I think they were all whiskey, but it wasn't. It was leading up to the core 10-year-old.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Cool.
I've not seen that.
Yeah,
I love Ardbeg. They can do anything. They can have a breakdown and have a really long, super long fermentation, and be like, "Yeah, it broke, but we're just going to call it the Fermonster or something," or I just everything they do, they just have this really cool story to go with it. I think it's a lot.
They could have produced the shittest whiskey. They're like, well, there's a reason it's shit. It's because we left the washback open and it over fermented.
Just call it the too fusty, but people would still be mad.
Yeah, but people love it. They lapped it up and they were like, "Yeah, I'm buying that."
Yeah. It's cool.
We've got Craig Buchan. Hello, Craig. How are you? He's watching on Facebook. Craig's part of the Cabrach team, the Cabrach distillery. He was saying he's fortunate enough to sit across from you at a dinner at Recam Lane last year.
Yes, yeah. Tell him hello, Craig.
He's wondering if you're doing the cycle again this year.
I have a clash on the cycle, but it's definitely on my agenda. It's the Distillers Velo Club. They're great. I'm good friends with Grant Gordon, and he's been one of the people that's brought the Cabrach to life. Yeah. Along with Craig and all the team and Jonathan and Ewan and things like that. So, hi, Craig. Yeah, but hopefully I'll be back. 100%. I was actually speaking to Ewan the other day, just seeing how he's getting on at the Cabrach. Mm-hmm. He sounded dead enthused, and so yeah, it's cool what they're doing. Actually, it's very cool. Yeah, but yes, I'm going to be back at the Velo Club, putting in some miles. I think actually. So Kenny, who does a lot of the route, Kenny Mackay does a lot of the route organising. I think they're doing I don't know if Craig's typing now, but I think it's a cognac route. So they're going out of Scotland. We basically went round last summer. We went round Speyside effectively, and I think we passed something like 36 distilleries on our cycle tour over 2 days. Unbelievable. And had a wonderful dinner at Grant's house at Recam Lane that Craig's mentioning, and then saw it all off afterwards as well. But it was great. Yeah, we had Alan Winchester was kind of leading. Well, the route had been planned, but Alan was the tour guide, I guess you could say. And I don't know if you spent much time with Alan or listened to him much. Just an encyclopedia of knowledge. Yeah. And
it's impossible not to listen to Alan when he's
isn't he just great? And what's great is he'll come up with his thick Doric accent, and I can, so my family, my dad's a Bucky boy, I was born in Aberdeen, my cousins and things are from Peterhead and things like that, so I'm versed with the Doric, but I'm not all there. And Alan will just come up with things, and I'm looking at him cross-eyed, and he knows he's doing it. He knows he's playing the game of I'm going to confuse him, and deadpan face. He'll say, "I'm not doing it." I can't bring out a great example, but he'll say something like, "Really?" And he'll just this wry smile just come across his face, like, Alan, I never now know whether you're talking bullshit or telling me something really important, because your wealth of knowledge in this world is so cool. So I'm always going to be there, all ears, looking at him intently. 50% of the time, he's just pulling my leg on something.
Yeah.
And we always find ourselves going really Doric. We had Keith Cruikshanks from Benromach on a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
The more, because me and Mike are obviously both from here as well. Originally, you've always been here, Mike. But yeah, like we got somebody Doric on, and you just find yourself going mayor and mayor Doric. Further into the night you go. By the end of it, you're like, oh, Mechti, who the hell? You're like, who have I become?
So good.
Mechti, fairly. Because what was Keith? He kept saying, "Oh, I was up a hill and I was just yarded and dubs, yarded, men, yarded," and you're like, for anyone watching at home, he means he's covered in mud.
I think he wrote YouTube with the subtitles. It just did not know what to do.
I mean, like growing up, like Aberdeen, Peterhead, it's a wonder you weren't on a trawler and not sailing around the world being an Olympian. Like, how did you go from like fisherman loon to like Olympic sailor?
A hell amount of luck. Yeah. Well, actually, we as a family moved. So I was born in Aberdeen, and so was my sister Anna. And mum and dad moved to, well, I say Helensburgh. It's actually a wee village near Helensburgh called Rue. Do you know where Helensburgh is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we actually grew up in effectively Helensburgh. Like I said, it's a wee village called Rue next to it. But I was 2.5 years old then. So actually, my whole life, I'm brought up as a West Coast boy, really. But yeah, all my forebears. No, is that the right word? Are they the people before me or after me?
Predecessors?
Before?
For all
No,
my
it's forebears.
all the it is forebears, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, four, because before me. Yeah, all my
Yeah.
were either lifeboat men or fisher boat men, you know, and I think potentially their wives were gutting the fish and things like that when the catch would come in. So my grandfather, my father's father, he you know, he served in World War II boats, as probably a lot of people did, and then everything before him was, you know, lifeboatmen, fishermen. My mum's side, her grandfather, a guy called Jimmy Cool down in Broughty Ferry, he was one of the longest standing lifeboatmen down in that area. So I guess you could kind of say it was in the blood. I mean, my dad was then as well, but just such a keen sailor. You know, he got his salty toes when he was a wee boy, and he'd go up and down the Murray Firth in his wee boat, an albacore or mirror, whatever it might have been. So yeah, I escaped all the fishing because we went west. That's why. Possibly might have if we'd stayed east. But my grandmother's maiden name is Buchan, so we've Dad's really good at mapping out our family trees and history. He's brilliant at it. So was my grandfather, his dad. So Dad's quite good at educating me, like, this is where you're from, these are your cousins, the Buchans, they've got this boat, the Favonius, I think it's called, if I get that right or wrong. And anyway, so boating was, I was in a boat, you know, from day dot. And get, but it's funny, so I was such a sporty kid. I loved everything. I played football like every kid does. I loved tennis. I got into gymnastics as well, you know, dancing about in my leotard, sailing, clearly. My sister enjoyed horse riding. And I think between my sister and I, we broke mum and dad's bank account. So something had to give. They were such good parents at sacrificing themselves to let their kids go and do the things they enjoy. But I chose sailing for whatever. I couldn't really tell you now. I was young, you know, everything had to give. It was too right. Choose one sport, boy, you know. So I chose sailing, probably to my dad's delight. But it was, do you know, so I was super competitive. But what really, really, really hooked me was the Olympics. I remember watching the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. I would have been 10 then. And obviously this is before all social media and stuff. You know, 10-year-olds now have their favorite athletes and know when they're competing. And you know, 10, you know, 96, whilst we had the internet, we did like none of that. Really was
BBC, that was it, wasn't it?
Exactly. So I couldn't quite I remember watching it on TV on a family holiday on the island of Tiree. We were on Tiree. And but by Sydney 2000, I was now competing nationally and a little bit internationally, selected into the British squads and things like that. And it was that gave me the full bug. And I remember saying to my mum and dad upon watching the Sydney Games, that's what I want to do. That's me. Decision made. I want to go to the Olympics. I'm really curious to what that would feel like. So sailing was sort of the vehicle to my Olympic dreams and ambitions. I love sailing. I'm not taking anything away from the sport. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'll do it forever to the day I die. But yeah, it was the real hook in the mouth was curiosity of what it would feel like to represent your country and, more importantly, try and win a medal.
It must have been amazing. And I was thinking about this. Obviously, we do a little bit of research on you guys before the Blether and have a squint and a little bit of stalker kind of in sometimes. And I was thinking about as an Olympian and something like sailing. Now, here's my naivety. I like to watch it, but when you think of sports people, there's always that kind of idea that somebody's naturally talented. So, you know, Usain Bolt was naturally fast, but he trained to become better. And you get footballers who've got a natural gift. sailing, is it a natural talent in sailing, or is it all just stuff that you have to learn and have to be determined and have to be competitive to progress, or where's the natural talent come from?
Such a good question. So I think that we're all incredibly talented at different things. Like we're all good at different things. And I think you get lucky in life if you find something you enjoy that suits the things you're good at. Mm-hmm. And that's where all the stars align at that point, I think, as well as maybe you have the opportunity to even find that, because there's many people that are born into an unfair environment, you know, and could never even contemplate that, you know. So I'm falling out of every lucky branch. I feel like I've fallen out of every lucky branch there is to hit on the way down. So to answer your question, no, I don't think you're born with no. I think we're all born with a series of different skill sets that we are good at. And I think in sailing, what that is ambidextrous, for one. Sailing's a very all body sport. So I think there's the physical element is less than, say, a rowing race, you know. So there's an ambidextrous sort of thing, you know, good balance, good feel for subtle changes in movement, because the boat, you know, the wind's invisible. So you have to listen. And
reactions must be spot on as well, would it be?
Possibly, yeah. And it won't be a scratch on somebody like an F1 driver, for example, you know. So would I be a good F1 driver? Almost certainly not, because otherwise I'd be doing it, you know. So sailing's a funny sport like that. I think it's a huge risk management strategic game. So you're thinking many moves ahead in how that and what you do now affects, you know, how the dominoes will fall. So there's a big strategic game in that. So risk management, strategy, backup plans, things like that, as well as, like I said, that listening to the elements, like really finite fingertip subtleties.
Cool.
And I think you could put, you know, and then I'm rubbish at a whole host of things. Rubbish at many things. So I don't know, like risk management, strategy. I might have been a good chess player, perhaps. You know,
not too late.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm rubbish now. I can tell you right now, I'm rubbish at the moment. So I don't believe necessarily in talent. What I believe in is that you are lucky to stumble across something that suits your skill sets, and then you drive into that corner as hard as you can. That would be my opinion of what talent is.
Yeah, that's a nice way of looking at it, because like I always think, you know, we always think we're kind of lucky that we've in the roles that we're doing today, and part of that is luck, but part of it is we found what we're good at, you know, whether it's storytelling or being geeky about, you know, how whiskey's made, or like, you know, whatever else, and you get to do that as a job, which kind of links into your point of like, yeah, finding what you're good at and trying to make either a hobby, career, or whatever else out of it. Can I tell you an interesting fact about sailing in Ardmore? Just because you said Hellensburgh, it ties into the whiskey that I still haven't poured yet because I forgot to get a glass, and I've just realised how bad my lighting is.
I've poured my second. I've gone for the octave now, the original.
Well, I saw you were in a second. I was like, oh, I should pour my whiskey. I was like, I haven't got a glass. I'm going to go and fix that in a second. However, Ardmore Distillery is named after Adam Teacher's favourite sailing point in Helensburgh. So like there's a bit he used to sail around called Ardmore Point.
Ardmore Point, yes.
Yeah. So it's literally Ardmore Distillery is named after that, because Adam Teacher loved sailing there.
That's a brilliant fact. I've said
I know, right?
For all my life.
So you should next Unkiltered release has to be an Ardmore, right? Because like it's literally it's your spirit liquid.
That's it. It's my Neptune liquid of the sea. Right, that's it. Well, we better get ourselves a wee Ardmore barrel here.
Yeah, if only you knew somebody that worked there. Jesus.
Yeah, who could that be? Yeah, really.
I've been asking for an Ardmore cask for years.
Have you? And how many?
Go and see Andrew. Yeah, Andrew, Little Brown Dog. He's got here's your boy with casks. I'm just gonna go and get a glass and try and do something about my horrific lighting. I'll be back.
We done a Whiskey Academy kind of annually, and part of the academy we get gets us behind the scenes at Ardmore, and we had a cask sample of an Ard layer, so unpeated Ardmore, from a port cask. It was a quarter cask, and it was quite possibly the best whiskey I've ever had. It was phenomenal. I was only 12 years old, and I asked for a cask, and Kat said, "Oh well, yeah, I can find out for you."
How long had it been in the port cask for?
Oh God, no, they did tell me, but was it 2 years, 18 months?
Long, I think fair enough. Yeah, good time.
So a decent finish, but it was really nice and lush and pink kind of color. It was beautiful.
Stunning. I'm a big fan. I've got a soft spot for almost any whiskey finished in ports, you know, tawny port and what. I love it. I love the combination of it. Yeah. It's really good.
Absolutely.
And what I like about it as well is I think you can overdo it. So you can overdo anything, can't you? But that's what I love about it is you can take the whiskey on a journey and you can get it wrong, you know, and so that also means you can take it right to the edge where the characters are screaming at you at volume 11, you know, versus somewhere you just got a dusting of it.
And I love how the character of the distilleries react to different ports. I've got I think this one here. Yeah, so Glenallachie in a tawny port.
Look at the colour of that.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's unreal.
And then I've got another Glenallachie kicking about somewhere. This one. Oh no, it's a PX. Over here is a ruby port. And look at that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think these were about the same age, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old. So yeah, about the same age, but two very, very different drams, same spirit, just different ports, and they're completely different. You can tell which one I enjoy more.
Yeah. Well, one looks like treacle for your porridge.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like Guinness. If you hold it to the light, you get a lot.
Yeah. It's unreal. It's stunning, though. Love it. Have you ever tried the Loch Dew? Was that not dubbed? Well, after my Guinness experiment whiskey, was that not dubbed the worst whiskey ever made?
Yeah. It gave Manachmore such a bad name, and people started finding out it was Manachmore. It was like ridiculously active port cast in a lot.
Which is funny as well because Manachmore is a gorgeous drop. Yeah. So sweet, and I love a Manachmore.
Yeah, I haven't found the Loch Dew to try. You see it on auction, but it's quite pricey now.
Well, it's a classic, isn't it? I mean, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's good or not. It's just talked about, and now it's rare, so now it commands a high price.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just going to say, Rick is asking about another Ardmore. This is the anniversary, 100th anniversary. Ardmore, the 12-year-old. Rick, I don't know because when I did open it, the cork snapped. So I haven't had anything out of the bottle yet. So I don't know. I can't tell you what it tastes like.
I feel like that's handler error, to be honest. I know. You have mentioned this. You have mentioned this nearly every week since we started. But I will do. I will do something about it.
I panic when I see people pull a cork off sideways. It's like, oh, careful, pull it up.
No, I mean, and you're probably right, Kat, because I had it for about a year before I opened it, and I don't remember ever dunking it or tipping it, so it was probably just dry. But I'll get a corkscrew, and it's just because it sits in a little office here, and I never think to take it downstairs and do something about it. I've got loads of spare corks. I'm not looking for sympathy. It's just.
I know. I'll need to go and do something about my one because I haven't actually done it. Yeah, I've got a bottle of it, and it's like literally sitting upright on a cupboard somewhere. So I should go and rehydrate my cork.
I've got a.
That what you will.
I don't know what you guys think, but I've got Grant and I, Grant Gordon, that was talking about earlier. Grant and I race boats together. Mm-hmm. So I've stopped the Olympic stuff now, but I still sail bigger boats, and Grant and I race a boat called a Dragon. And so when he builds a new Dragon, we get a new boat. They're all called Louise. We will christen her, like classic boat world. You smash a bottle of champagne over the bow. These are nice race boats. You don't touch them with the glass isn't getting smashed over the bow in a race boat. But we'll douse her in a wee bit of whiskey, Glenfiddich, obviously. And so we did one of the boats with the 18-year-old, and importantly, the cork has to stay in the boat, so you can't. So they must stay in the boat for the rest of the boat's life. And so we poured the Glenfiddich, and we toasted to Louise, and we did all the stuff, and so Grant was very kindly was like, "Look, would you like to keep the remainder of the Glenfiddich?" I was like, "Absolutely, that was brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Grant. That's so cool." And so I kept it, but I didn't know what to do because I didn't have a cork now. So I was just traveling home with my thumb on the end of it. But so I put it in a decanter. But and so I am assuming, maybe there's a consensus, maybe someone listening could type in. I mean, I'm assuming that it's far less sealed in a decanter than it is in a corked bottle.
Yeah. It's because the glass is kind of hand blown and stuff, and it'll never be, when you pop that. I mean, I don't know if you probably do get cork lids for decanters.
You would,
well.
yeah.
Most of them would be glass to glass, which it can't be a tight seal, I think.
No, but I've had a dram of it recently. I mean, it's no, I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't have a corked Glenfiddich to compare it to, but it still tastes like good whiskey. It's still a great dram. So I'm assuming it's not off the cliff yet, whatever that may look like.
No.
Can I just say, Andrew Cullen's watching. Hi, Andrew. Nice to see you. And he left a comment of, "That's fascinating. Always assumed that Ardmore came from Gaelic rather than sailing. Andrew, you worked for us and you have the script, so you should have known." Get on and read your script, Andrew. But nice to see you. Hope you're doing fine.
But there's Ardmore, because it is Gaelic, isn't it?
It is. It just means high headland. So there's Ardmores all around the coast of Scotland. There's loads. Yeah. There's one of Islay. Ard means high. So the island I lived on, not that I mention it every single week, Isle of Ling, guys. There's a few Ards, and it just means high point. So whether it's Ardling, Ardmore, Ardnackie, it all just means high bit.
High. Yeah, Kat, remind me again where you told me in Fife. So you're from where?
Oh, so I'm from here originally, but I moved back here.
Lived?
Yeah, Isle of Ling. So
she lives everywhere. Look, she's lived. You mentioned somewhere, and she'll have lived there.
She's like, I spent 6 months there.
Yeah, pretty much. That's my story. It's my tagline. So if you were, the Isle of Seal, you go over the bridge of the Atlantic, you cross the Isle of Seal, and you've got Easdale. Easdale's maybe you don't know any of these ones.
I'm a Southern Hebridean. I'm Tyree, Col, Mull, Jura, Isla. You're up.
Okay, so no. We're south. We're inner. We're south
near Oban.
Yeah. So if you were coming out of Oban, you're driving towards Lochilphead, and you would head off down over the Isle of Seal, and then you've got the sound of so next to Corryvreckan. You know where the Corryvreckan log is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's Ling, and then it's the Corryvreckan, and then you've got Scarborough Island, and then you've got Jura, and then Isla's much further out. So we were that long one.
Yeah, cool. Got you. Fly over on the way to Tyree every time. So yeah, got you.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very cool
ignorance there for my own country's geography.
Well, it's not a very well-known island, but because you were obviously West Coast and sailing, I thought loads of people used to sail past all the time because it's just quite fast water in places because it gets funneled between all the wee islands. And there'd be like a regatta that would happen on the island every year. So usually the sailors kind of know.
Yeah, I've never really had the pleasure of. I mean, one of my bucket list items is to cruise around the west coast of Scotland and enjoy a summer in a yacht there and do that. But amazingly, despite my upbringing, I was always competing, so sailing's not had much space for leisure in my life. It's always been for competition. So those days are still to come.
Yeah, not too late for that at all. Sorry, no. I've got a cold, so I'm struggling, but no, definitely not too late for that. And there's just so many wee islands, and like a lot of them are uninhabited as well. Like where Ling is, all the other islands round about us were uninhabited, so we would literally just put a rib in the water after like work, in the summer, like and just head off and like just island hop, and like they're absolutely gorgeous, and they've all got like there's really cool stories behind them and like really cool names, and like just kids were like plopping into the sea and you'd be like pulling up mackerel hand lines. It was such a great way of living.
Epic.
I know. Every time we get to summertime, I'm just like looking. I mean, okay, I love the northeast guys, so don't even start sending in the hate. But as soon as we get to summer, I'm kind of like, oh, I want to go back west.
I can bring on the hate if you want. I mean, the west coast of Scotland is superior to anywhere visually. I'm not talking about people, not talking about anything else. I'm just like to look at. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can just look at
and
it. It's like, you'd be anywhere. Finesse is awesome. Great sea glass. I know. We're spoiled anywhere in Scotland. I was down at Stonehaven not that long ago. And I know Stonehaven. I went to Montrose as well at Ardbickie, and they're both beautiful bits of coastline as well. Just colder.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, we're spoiled. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, we are.
But I think I'd be better. I'm a better passenger than actual sailor. I don't think I'd be very good at that, to be honest. I could get distracted easily.
Yeah,
it's easy.
It's easy enough. It's easy enough.
Just keep the boat right, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep it pointed at the next coastal distillery, and you're fine. Yeah. Point at the next distillery. Adjust the sails.
I don't know. There has been a lot of shipwrecks round about Islay and these kind of places.
What?
Have you watched Whiskey Galore?
Mike just made my biggest faux pas. Like, did you do that on purpose to test me, or did you think it wrong?
I missed that on the delay. Say again.
Never call Islay in front of Cat. We actually send people to the distillery who are going up to visit. They're like, oh well, if you've got Cat as your guide, or you see Cat, ask if what her favourite Islay whiskey is. you just plant them to go up.
It upsets me more than people getting Glengeedy wrong, because I can understand why you get Glengeedy wrong. It's not how you spell it. Isla, you shouldn't be getting that wrong. Just sort your life out, or
I mean, you've made me panic now. I wonder if I called it Islay earlier on. Then
I would have corrected you.
Would you? Okay, good.
But how can you understand people? Because there's an S there that you don't pronounce. There's a Y there you don't pronounce.
I know. Okay, right. Okay, so maybe non-Scottish people, I could get it, but Scottish folk, like, I don't know. It's because it's mainly Scottish people that get it wrong. So people from not Scotland, I can get it. I do get it, but like Scottish people, no business getting that wrong. Anyway,
fair enough.
It's a trigger point, Mike, and like what happens if you do it.
But there's a lot of shipwrecks out that way, so I don't think it's quite as easy as just jumping on a boat and pointing it the right way.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right. I also reckon
watching who just thinks it's good, they're going to do it. Maybe don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please don't take my advice literally. It isn't point the boat and adjust at the next distillery. That was not good advice.
We have to
always
be really
sail sober.
Yeah, and keep the cork on the boat as well.
Yeah.
We, I was doing a taste. One of my first, and this is how literal some people take what you say. And it was a gin tasting. It was one of my first ever gin tastings I hosted at the shop. And we're talking about garnishes and ice, and why we don't have ice in the tasting, because it cools down the drink and you lose that part of the unique flavors of it. You would say a good substitute for ice, if you don't want to dilute the drink, is freezing your garnishes. So put your strawberries or your raspberries or your oranges in the freezer, and you can use that as a garnish, and it cools your drinks. So it's kind of is how I said it. And then about 2 weeks later, this lady came into the shop and she's like, "I nearly cut my thumb off because of you." And I was like, "What?" And she put her orange in the freezer whole, and then try to slice it, put it in her. And oh, you did it. So I always say after I give that advice is make sure you slice. If it's a lemon or a lime or an orange or an apple, slice it first and then put it in there. Yeah, people are very literal about it.
People are very literal. I mean, I wouldn't have. Yeah. Well, you're right. You got to be careful. That's why health and safety stuff has got through the roof now. You can't there's just an endless amount of I'm trying to think of. No, I won't be able to think of something funny without offending somebody. So I won't try and regurgitate a story. Funnily enough, so this isn't to do with that. This is sound advice. But when we were in Japan, building up for the Tokyo Games, is on every single street, even up into Tokyo. So we were down in the coast in areas like places called Kamakura and Hayama and Enoshima, for anyone that might have been down those areas. They're like the coastal sort of towns, right. Fujisawa. Anyway, so genuine tsunami warnings all the time. They have to be incredibly diligent at creating escape routes for the population. But on every single street corner is a sign, but on the pavement, like on the street floor, embedded into the concrete, it tells you which way to run and for how long to get out of a tsunami threat. And they're glow in the dark. They're what's that stuff called that's charged in the daylight and glows at night without any. Is that just called glow in the dark? I mean, I don't know what the
fluorescent.
Yeah, whatever the technical word is for it, but the stuff that lights up all night because it's been charged by the sun during the day.
Solar.
Yeah, solar maybe, but it's no, not solar. Like when you had a kid, you maybe had some toy that you'd throw against the wall that was glowing in the dark, some putty.
Or the stars you put on your roof in your bedroom.
Exactly. Those. Those. So anyway, those tsunami warning signs, unbelievable. It's a bit of you kind of look, you're like, geez, this is no joke. This is real stuff, and which way to run, and you get the siren warnings and stuff like that. I was in a hotel one night, and we were in the middle of the night. I was quite hot, maybe the 15th floor. This is in Tokyo, and woke up and the building was shaking like that. And I thought I was kind of dreaming, so I woke up and went, "Oh, I sleep really well with movement, probably because I'm a boater. Trains, planes, boats. I'm a baby. If everything's moving, I'm gone. So I'm there like lying and rocking away. Kind of come to like, oh, that's lovely. And turn back. And then I was like, shit, no, that's an earthquake. So I suddenly realized what the hell was going on, and it was an earthquake, a very calm, relaxed one. The building was just swaying. And that was all it was, and it passed, and the morning came, and we went on with our business. But that wouldn't have barely even registered. I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like when there's something extreme happening. But I was in a state of comfort, and this is lovely, until I suddenly realized what was going on.
Yeah.
It's mad what you get used to, though, isn't it? I was speaking to my dad today. Turned up at my work to drop something off, and he was speaking to a friend of mine that was there. And so my dad's from New Zealand, but he lived for a while in Australia, and he was working on the fishing boats. And
Oh, cool.
he was working with he's like, my dad's like, oh, he would have been descended from the Scots, so like this big ginger guy. And it was quite a small kind of little metal boat, and he kept hearing this kind of dunt, and he's like, what is that? He's like, and the guy's like, let me just get my stick. And it was crocs, and they were coming up to the boat and just dunting it with their snout just to sort of test it, just to see, like, you know, if they could, like, yeah. And this big guy just went over and just was like smacking him on the nose with a stick. He's like, get off, you bastards. Like, smacking him with it.
That is frightening.
And my dad's like, it is. And like, but this guy was just like, you know, that was his job. That's what the stick was for. He's like, yeah, just pass me the stick. And he's just like poking them in the nose.
Wow, yeah, that is frightening. Yeah.
I know. So you just get used to what you know, don't you?
Good to get a wee reminder now and then. Mother Nature is in charge.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I genuinely think it's a good thing to just get that. I mean, I've seen some oceans where I feel so small, and I'm inshore. You know, there's guys and girls that are going offshore into the abyss. You know, and I can even imagine. You know, I've seen seas that frighten the life out of me. Make you feel that big, and it's good. Yeah. It's humbling. It's good.
Or it's when
it makes me get back on shore and make some whiskey.
Yeah. Well, safer.
I love sea.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
It's when you figure out what's below you. Like, I love wild swimming. I really, really do. But I don't like going too far out, because it's when you brush past something, you're like, ooh, what was that? And it's off the back of like watching a documentary about Greenland sharks. And if you haven't ever seen a Greenland shark, they're the most horrific looking things you've ever seen. And they could literally just be out there right now. Not there because I live on a street, but they could be like not too far off the coast.
I don't really think there's a could be. They will be, and I mean they are some of the oldest animals on the planet. But
800 years old. It's mental. They live up to 800 years old.
If you were to get eaten by a Greenland shark swimming off Aberdeen Beach, at least you'll make it round the world news, because it'd be the most unlikely thing to happen.
That's true. It is true, because they've got like a weird circular teeth, so like they just kind of like twist.
They go like that.
Yeah.
Just pull a chunk out.
So that freaked me out, and only because also I saw basking sharks when I was out on the west coast, and it's the biggest thing I've ever seen in the water, like so vast that even though you're impressed and it's beautiful, it also terrifies you at the same time, because you're like, something that big has just emerged out of the water right in front of me. We didn't know it was there. So like, as awe-inspiring as it is, it's also actually terrifying at the same time too.
And the scary thing about all that, so while swimming, I spearfish. So I me and my buddies will go down and, just on free diving. So it's just a lung of air. We're not got we're not got an aqua lung or anything like that. But what, everything around you from a big distance knows you're there. That's the bit I find scary. They've evolved so perfectly for their surroundings, and then a calamity like a human being gets in there with some rubber wrapped around it with a lung that lasts about 10 seconds, just useless for its surroundings in water. And every single thing down there knows you're there, and you're the only thing that doesn't know anything. You don't know where anything is, and everything knows where you are. I find that quite scary. The smartest buggers are the seals. So we'll dive down, and you're kind of trying to lie on the ocean floor dead calmly, and obviously lower your heart rate. Lie on the ocean floor. It's not that deep, but a few meters down, and just be dead still. Because obviously the fish and everything know it. And every now and then I'll just get this feeling like I know something's watching me. And eventually when you turn to go back to the surface, you've exhausted your lung full of air, whatever, turn around and there's just these two black eyes, this seal, and all they are is curious. But my goodness, when you've got this 6-foot submarine with black eyes looking dead at you, it just, I never get past the fright of that, even though you kind of, and they're so, they're so connected to eye contact. So they're not they're not confused. They're completely they know you're looking that way and they're looking from behind you. And so when you make eye contact, they're fully aware. Frightening.
Yeah.
Frightening.
You can see why there's so like myths and legends about them, because they are quite like, they're almost like dog-like, but they're also like people-like as well. Just like the round faces just appear out of the water. So you can see why like fishermen and stuff used to think they were like mermaids and things, because they are so nosy. They're so attracted to people.
What's that old tale or is it a book? I mean, I don't know if you guys did it in school, where there would be someone, please correct me if I'm wrong, but these pretty women would arrive in a town or a village or something as a selkie. Is that a selkie?
Yeah.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
And lure the fishermen into the sea. Is that right? Is it something like that? Right.
Yeah. If they come out with water and they shed their seal skin, and there's a story about a fisherman keeping, if you keep their seal skin, they have to stay as a woman, so they're like a prisoner. And they can only go back into the water if they can get back into their seal skin. So like there was a story, it's a Scottish story about a fisherman that used to keep hold of his seal skin and keep her trapped as a sort of life.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I think
great story.
I think a little boss sets her free. I know it is really, really cool. We can see where that's come from, because they are quite people.
I like all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. It is very, very cool.
Mike, what are you drinking? I'm gonna go get a top up.
I just
slurping away.
I had Kat inspired me to grab the sample of the Lady de Glenardmore sherry finish. So
I got into my bottle. I'm into it now.
Right, I'm gonna grab something. I don't know what. I get a light on.
What am I gonna have now?
So I don't usually go for sherry stuff, but I like this one. I had it at a tasting a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, I know what I'm going for. It's an easy choice for me, this as well.
I'm just imagining some sort of globe. I'd imagine you with a globe drinks decanter in the background with like a little wee boat that you push around about it when you're going off to get your drinks. This is how I'm envisioning you going to get your whiskey.
It's a good thought that the whiskey cabinet is needing dealt with. It's not in a presentation format, hence why there's a wall behind me. But that's
a good choice, though. That's a beautiful. Big fans.
I love everything the Rasse team do. Love it. Not saying I love every dram to the earth and back, but is this called the Sia? Yeah, Nasia series. Just so good. It's just so good. We've actually got a whiskey in the background we've not released yet that is similar flavors to this wee buddy. But yeah, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning.
So the Nasia, that's the 6, isn't it? Is that the 6 single casks that they had?
Exactly.
Yeah. So which cask is that one you're in?
So this is essentially this is a peated Bordeaux, red wine Bordeaux cask. I mean, obviously they've much more skill and complexity than that, but in simple terms, it is a red wine peated cask finish. So, but it's just, I mean, I can't, in fact, I've just said at the start how I like the information. I've just brushed all the information off. So I'm not going to do that because I'm not living true to what I just preached about. So yes, it is 6 casks. Amazing. Of the 6 Isle, so it's the characters of all 6 of their Isle Rasse single malt recipe casks, and it has gone to first fill Bordeaux red wine, so potent. It's pulled a lot of flavor from it, and the ambition to do that through 6 casks is so cool.
Yeah,
61%.
Brutal, but
potent.
But what I love about it is it doesn't taste like it. If I remember right, it's kind of really nice and it's salty and blackcurrant are the 2 kind of flavors I remember getting it from. It's so good.
Blackcurrant, that is. Every time I sip that, I was doing a wee I was doing a wee whiskey tasting, but you know the Cask and Still magazine, how they in their issues at the back they've got different people writing up about different whiskies. So I've had the honor to do it a couple of times, and the first one I did was, I think, can't remember the remit. It was choose an island, a Highland island, maybe Campbellton, and this was one of the bottles that I chose, and I remember writing, I think it was possibly the best whiskey I've ever drank.
Really?
And yeah, I remember writing it, and even now having another little revisit, it's so unique. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and I love everything that Rassay are doing as well. The having the hotel on the island and what they're doing with the people getting the employment there and tourism.
Yeah.
Alistair and the team have done a phenomenal job.
It's stunning, isn't it? Yeah.
Have you been over?
I've never been to Rassay. No, I've been to Skye, and I'd love to go to this. I will go to the distillery at some point, but no, never. Have you?
Yeah, we were over 2 years ago. 2 years? Well, must be 3 years ago now. We were over, and luckily Alistair was there. He was actually taking a couple of guys out, Torpetter and Colin from the Bifrost Aurora distillery. He was taking them up to the warehouse because they were doing a kind of cask collab. He was like, "You want to come with us?" I was like, "Hell yeah, absolutely!"
Yeah, don't need to ask twice.
It was brilliant. So, yeah, such good guys. And what I love about it is with Torrevieja now opening and Rassay, you know, whiskey enthusiasts have a reason to go to Skye more than ever, because before it was just Talisker. I mean, Talisker.
Yeah, I know what you mean though. Yeah, it was the one.
Yeah, they'll go over and they spend a couple of days now and see 3 distilleries and Isle of Skye distillers opening up soon as well. So, you know, there's a lot to see for the whiskey geek now.
Yeah, it's definitely one for me. What's the distillery like?
It was a bit of a building site when we were there because they
Right.
were still working on the hotel. So there was a lot of scaffold and a lot of walls down and stuff. But the shop is awesome. The distillery itself, very clean, stainless steel kind of feel, but quite twee as well. You're like, it's almost a modern distillery.
Yeah.
But you could almost see everything from anywhere. It's one of those open plan distilleries. It's quite cool. The tasting room was beautiful. But in the warehouses, the class is dunnage, but they're kind of stainless steel with the earth floor. And he's got a combo of racked and dunnage. It's on the other side. You know, you don't see them from the distillery. You have to travel. You have to take a 10 minute drive from the distillery up to the warehouse. So you don't see it.
Yeah, but still on the island though. It's not
still on Rassay. Yeah,
still on Rassay. Yeah.
I love when they started to grow their own barley. They bought an old Jeep Berlandy and to harvest it, and they converted it into a kind of combine for harvesting.
Did they?
Barley, which was we actually had the owner of the Jeep in the shop like last year, and he was saying that he was telling me about the Jeep, and I was like, I've heard so much about this thing, but the field that they grew the barley on was on a slope. And it wasn't until they got to the bottom of the slope with the first run they realised that the reverse gear didn't work. So they had to tow it back up and then let it run down again and tow it back up because it was so tight they couldn't, or the machinery was so tight they couldn't. No turning circle.
No, I like that. Innovation is always key there.
Yeah, and it just, I just love that mentality is, we don't know if it's going to work, but we're trying it anyway. It's like, shit, what do we do now? And just overcoming these obstacles and stuff. It's
that attitude though is I love. So get just stepping forwards and just seeing how I'm a terrible planner. So my whole life has been based on well, let's just give it a go first. Like, let's do all the learning through fail. Like, we always said this thing when we were running the Olympic program is let's fail fast. Like let's get it done. Let's get it all wrong and get it wrong quickly, you know. And it kind of breeds this environment to not be scared to try stuff, you know. Try stuff as elaborate as you want and get and do it early, you know. And was kind of as well how we sort of started Unkiltered was like, let's just go. Like let's not over research anything. Obviously we do our due diligence, licenses and stuff like that. You have to get that, like you have to get that bit right. But in terms of flavor,
HMRC knocking the door.
Exactly.
What?
yeah. In terms of flavor and that journey is just go. And I know there are flaws in that method, but yeah, I'm a big fan of just getting stuck in, cracking on. It's normally one of two things, or both together. One, you very quickly find out the way not to do something. Like so was it Edison? So there was invented the light bulb. What was his first name? Thomas Edison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I think there's a famous little script where an interviewer had said, because he was trying for a long time to invent the light bulb, and the interviewer had gone, "Oh, Thomas, I see you've failed again. You know, all this round of funding you've done, etc. Failed again." He's like, "Failed? I haven't failed in anything. I've worked out 10,000 different ways how not to invent the light bulb.
Yeah.
I am 10,000 steps closer than anyone to doing this, you know." And that attitude and that response is just, I love that way of approaching stuff.
Yeah. It's got a famous kind of saying there, isn't it? And it's certainly in business. And so, I haven't failed.
It's cool, isn't it?
Ways of doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Good way to live your life, I reckon.
Talking about all things. Oh, sorry, Mike. We've got a delay between us again. It's like Eurovision night again. I was just going to say, talking about all things Unkiltered. A, I don't know if I missed it at the start when my internet died, but where does the name come from? And B, when you talk about your very clever sister with her beautiful labels and yeah, like that side of things as well, because they're gorgeous. It's like literally so when me and Darren came to the festival, we were literally just both drawn to like the really pretty labels on the table. We were that basic. And we're like, ooh, we kind of came over. So like, what's the story behind all that kind of side of things?
Well, let's do the story on my sister and branding second, because that deserves the most time. But the name quickly. I mean, it was just a play, really a play on the word off kilter. You know, so I think the definition of off kilter is something like not linear, not following the normal path. So it was just a play, and we thought the word off kilter could have negative connotations. So we just wanted to put some fun into it. And I think it was Anna actually what about if we say we obviously, like any brand, had about 1,000 names we were going through. And so yeah, Unkiltered is just a fun play on the word off kilter and the definition of that. But Anna,
the kilts then.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, a lot of the foreign folk I'll speak to at the shows be like, "Oh, so does that mean kilt off? You know, you've got your kilt off," and I just, yeah, fine, yeah, that's what it, you know. I don't know, yeah, that's exactly what it means, you know.
That's Gaelic for shedding the kilt.
But no, Anna is, I mean, she's amazing, and I hope she's not listening, because she'll just hate. She hates when I talk about her because, you know, she probably gets embarrassed. But so Anna's 2 years older than me. I'm 38. She's 40, and she's a graphic designer by trade. She went to Edinburgh Art School. She's incredibly creative and really cool at seeing a trend and jumping on it and rolling with it and creating a trend as well. So, the look of the brand is all her. Of course we would sit and talk about it, but the reality is I'm trying to, not get involved in any real opinions, because what I think she does is great. So I think kind of when she asked me like, oh, what do you think to this? I need to try and read her to go, is she wanting me to say, oh, she actually want me to shut the hell up and just go, you know, and she's already, her brain is always 2 steps ahead of mine. She's a quick thinker and really, really fast paced at working. And so, yeah, I mean, I you know, some of the things we did discuss was we wanted it to not, you know, it's on purpose. It doesn't immediately look like a whiskey brand or a whiskey bottle. That's by design, and catch the eye in that way.
Get somebody over to pick it up and ask, you know, what.
Yeah, exactly. And we wanted to push color into it all, and we talked, you know, everything is on purpose, like the height of the bottle, you know, the squeeze of it, the length of the brand, you know, or the brand name.
The bottles they're squarish, aren't they?
Yeah, I'll grab a bottle now and put it. But so yeah, so that's. I mean, maybe it looks like my screen squashed. Maybe if I come back further, you know, it's quite a tall, relatively tall, thin bottle, a wee snub neck, because obviously you know, you can't have everything. You can't have a tall neck and a tall, thin bottle. You know, think be that high. So, I
don't know.
But yeah, yeah, exactly. We wanted height, and you know, and all Anna's style. Again, I might get in trouble tomorrow on the phone if I've miscommunicated. But Anna's style is she's great with shapes and incorporating color. Well, I think she is anyway. You know, she's really good with shapes and symbols and sliding design in. So yeah, I mean, she worked hard. You know, it's really interesting to see where stage 1 was and where we are now with the design. I think she might have done an Instagram post about it recently, going, you know, I think she showed some vinyls that she'd made, going, this was one of the directions we maybe went. So yeah, Anna's just great at and actually the symbols have meaning. Like we've got wee beer mats, Kat. I don't know if you took any from the show, but we've associated some symbols with different flavor profiles just to make a flavor wheel more exciting and
just for the guys at home. I'm not sure if you can see, but
yeah.
I love the
wee symbols. Some of the symbols mean like droplets of water. Some are to insinuate barley corn. Some to insinuate wood, and not everything is that. Some are just shapes because they're cool and they fit. But there is a story behind some of them, and they change bottle to bottle as well.
That's very cool, because I literally just got a tattoo done of like the whiskey symbols on my arm, and I saw all the symbols around about your label. I was like, oh my god.
Really?
Twinsies, yeah. Do the colors represent anything, or is it just a color you associate with, you know, I'm only asking because I'm a little bit obsessed by color and flavor, because I've discovered recently I'm a synesthesiast, so I smell and color. So
you and I might be quite similar then. You and I think we chatted about this at Fife actually, but
I think we did.
Yeah, the colors do mean something, and like I'm quite similar to you. I didn't know there was a name for it, but often when I taste and smell, I see a color sometimes, not every time, but I think Anna does a wee bit as well, because we often land on a similar color area when we talk about it. So it's normal that we like, say we did a North British, an old single grain, and we were both like blueies, purplies kind of vibe, and then Anna will refine that, so she takes that to the next level. But the colors are purely, they're not targeting a flavor profile as such. They're targeting what we sort of, you know, kind of arrived at in our heads. And with Ryan now as well, so there's 3 of us, so there's, you know, our first bottling with Ryan on board was our winter warmer, which is the green labeled Tobermory. Our 8-year-old finished in Amarone, and we were all in a greeny-ish vibe. So it's funny. It's fun. Like, kind of just it comes about organically, but it's definitely it comes from it's not picking a color off a sheet. It's because of where the flavor has taken us.
And it's not like saying purple is Speyside, green is Lowland, yellow is Highland. It's
it's purely it's kind of how the flavor of the whiskey made us feel to some degree.
Yeah.
And always I find your initial instinctive is almost always the one that we end up on, because I find you can talk things too much. You can talk it to the death. And actually, one of the things I like to do personally is, and I did this in my sporting days a lot, is if we had an important decision to make, is we would, I would write down what my immediate reaction, instinctive reaction was to something, then talk it to the death, and then come back to see where you've landed. Because I think you can easily lose what your immediate instinct was by over analyzing something. Do the same with the whiskey, is smell, nose, what's the feeling, write it down, forget about it, and then talk it around the table. And because you don't want to lose what your kind of, I guess you could say, your intuition first thought about something.
We at a lot of our tastings, it's part of the process of how our body works, isn't it? We smell, we have some flavors in our head, but immediately your logic is like, that can't be right. Don't say that, you'll sound stupid, because you can't be smelling apples or pears or chocolate because you're drinking whiskey. And it's probably why after 4 or 5 drams at the end of the tasting, everyone's like, yeah, I'm getting all these tasting notes, because that logic side is kind of slipping slightly. But it's like, say what, or right, we went down to the Edinburgh Whisky Academy, did the diploma in the art of nosing and tasting. Fantastic course, guys, if you haven't done it.
I have done it, actually.
And it's like speed. They do that section where it's like, smell and write. Don't think, just write down exactly what comes in. And it's so, you start writing down things, then it's just instinctive. And then you talk about it. And you're like, well, and it's when you go back to it, you start smelling again afterwards, you're like, no, you can say, I was definitely wrong with that. I'm not picking that up. That one's bang on. I know that's true. And then you converse with people from Australia and Italy and Poland and all these other places who have their own opinions, which are exactly the same as yours, just written down differently, because they've got different memories and different thoughts and flavors and stuff. And it's such a fascinating discussion to have, especially with people from other countries or different areas.
I agree. And I think like the moment in time plays a big part. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm always my nose, I think, is my best sensory thing. And I get most of the story of the whiskey on my nose. And so I kind of find that, so for me, and this might be, I'm just maybe not experienced enough at it all yet, for all the gurus out there, but the nose tells me all the flavor and the notes that I need to know about. And then the palate and the finish for me just turns into an experience. So I kind of go flavor and word, maybe memory, like it jolts a memory in us all, doesn't it? It's like nose is an amazing thing. Or the olfactory system, as it's officially. And then after that, it's all experience for me. So maybe I need more years in the art of tasting whiskey to develop that into the palate and the finish as well. But for me at the minute, it's nose and then experience, nose experience. And I'm happy at that. That for me is enough, because I kind of don't want to overanalyze it. And I love picking out different things through my nose. It's a chore to pick it out on my palate for me. Sitting there with it in my mouth, burning my gums, just I'm getting bored now. I'm bored. Yeah, fine. I'll taste the dark chocolate on a cold, windy day. Whatever. I mean, like, I've lost the enjoyment of tasting the dram now. I want to do that in the nose, and then just fucking leave me alone to drink it.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's for everyone though, but that's possibly because I need more years in the vice of it.
Your master blenders, your Billy Walkers, your Rachel Barrys, and this, who are doing probably that day in, day out are they're drinking the whiskey when they come to the tasting point. They're doing it at 25%, so they don't have that burning sensation and palate fatigue. And I always throw that at people who, never add water to the whiskey. I'm like, well, the whiskey was picked at 25%. That's it's good enough for them.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting way of looking at it.
No, you're right. Do you know, I had the pleasure of with Kirstine Campbell. We're much younger. Took me and another friend of mine in the athlete circle. Scott Mina is his name. He's and we went and did a wee whiskey tour on just because we had a sporting connection. The agency that looked after us at the time. And we got the pleasure of Kirstine Campbell taking us round. I guess it was. Where the hell were we? We've been the Grouse Factory. I say factory, not distillery. Down where one of Edrington's major pumping out. We're Dumbarton.
Yeah.
Dumbarton.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like 15 years ago. Anyway, I'm kind of making a fool of myself here, not knowing exactly where. Anyway, Kirstine took us to her sampling room because at that point she was in charge of Grouse, Cutty Sark, and probably many other things as well. And so we had the pleasure. She's like, right, I'll take you to my lab. Yeah, again, not like you said, Kat. It's not a lab. It's nice wooden tables, sample bottles. It kind of looks like an old chemist. And she said exactly that, Mike. She was like, I do everything down at kind of between 20 and 30% to find what the right compounds are that I'm looking to shine through in the drams. So I was unaware of that at the time. And Anne, actually, my sister, she loves pouring her whiskey and then drowning it in water. So she probably enjoys her whiskey at about 25%. Would be my guess. She probably gets much more flavour from it than I do. But I quite enjoy the burn.
Discovered. You like the burn. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different ways of doing it, isn't it? You just got to find what suits you. I struggle with tasting notes and stuff. And like Mike, I think you kind of just write down everything you get straight away, don't you? That's kind of like is that your technique? You just kind of go for it and like.
Yeah, and then
like initial thoughts on paper.
Yeah, get everything you think first, and then you can go back and dissect it. As Luke was saying, get that out there and then discuss it around a table. If you don't have people to discuss it with, like if you don't have any friends like me, you just sit and do that again yourself.
I'll be your friend.
We're your friends. Yeah.
But yeah. Throw it all out, and then you can work backwards, because there's nothing worse than chasing a tasting note. Try to fight and focusing on if if you know something's a sherry cask, you go looking for sherry flavors, or if you know something's peated, you go looking for those flavors. It's like try and blank that out. It's and the color as well. It's like you see something like that. You're looking for flavors, treacle, liquids, and things like that. And when you taste it, it's not there. You're like, what the fuck is going on with this cask? Why is it completely? And I love that. Just the fun of it, just writing down things that come to your head when you're smelling it, when you're tasting it, and then going back in. And this is probably why I'm really getting excited just now with refill bourbon casks. Because the casks don't give too much flavor, and you can go back and you're like, well, where's that flavor coming from? And you're discovering fermentation times, you're discovering the flavors that come from the distillation and the cut points and the spirit itself rather than the cask. Yeah. I'm still probably a sherry fiend. We called it recently a sherry slut. I think in terms of flavor and enjoyment of drinking whiskey, but the geek in me loves a refill bourbon because there's no hiding place. You can go into the depths of the whiskey a bit more.
I knew I'd get you converted yet, Mike. You're coming around to the dark side. I knew I'd get you there eventually.
But it's the geek in me that loves that side of things. I just love.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a different style of whiskey. Whereas probably when I'm sitting round and I'm not thinking about whiskey and I'm just having a dram, watching football or whatever, I'd probably reach for a sherry cask.
Nice.
Or cask.
Have you tried the Paul John Oloroso by any chance?
No.
So I tried it for the first time the other day. It is unbelievable. So you made a nice point there. Like if it says Oloroso, you're looking to find those flavors. And I tasted it for the first time ever. Holy shit! It was Oloroso turned up to, I mean, a level which I'd never ever experienced before. Unbelievable. However you like it, there's no subtlety about it. It was everything you were getting slapped across the face in a good way with all the but to your point. Slap. Also, there was like, I've not felt that, I've not experienced that flavor before on an Oloroso finished whiskey, and I'm sure it'll be something to do with their sort of tropical aging and things like that. But there's an element in there that we can't do here in Scotland with the heat and the humidity and things like that. But it was unbelievable. I recommend, if you like your sherry finish, go and give that a go. It's a hell of a journey.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a journey.
Bookmarking that right now.
Yeah. It'll slap you about the chops.
Whap you in the face, Mike, like a dirty Oloroso. It seems like you're
a good slap.
Yeah.
48.
Yeah. I mean, like if I'm doing sherry, I don't mind Oloroso maybe, or like a drier one.
Oh, do you?
But I hate Pedro Jimenez. I just can't do it. I'm yet to be converted.
Really? Oh yeah, and
whenever I get, it's just something a bit different like that. Like I don't have a sweet tooth at all. We were up at Tomatin and they handed us like just this dark, sweet Pedro Jimenez, and like I just couldn't even get it past my nose. I just kind of had to hand it to Mike. He's like, "Yep, I knew that was coming." But like,
I wasn't saying
it's just yeah. I don't know. I think maybe just my nose and palate. I just pick out more of the sweet stuff on it, and I can't see the subtleness in there. I just maybe need to practice a bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, you might like our it's sold out, but I'm sure it's in a shop somewhere. You might like our second release was a Glenglassaugh Amontillado.
Oh wow!
I can't even for the life of me remember what age it was now. I think it was quite old. I think it was 15. I think it was a 15-year-old Glenglassaugh and Amontillado. Really bizarrely interesting. I wonder if Valhalla's Goat maybe still have a bottle or two, because I know at some point they had a few in there.
Just bear that in mind also for when you release your Ardmore. Put your Ardmore in something that I would like as well. Just so
right. So we'll put the Ardmore in a dry sherry.
In a Fino.
Yeah.
In a Fino, and leave it for half a decade.
Yes, please. Yeah, I don't know if I've got that time to wait, but
no, I don't think any of us do, to be honest. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Rev Mordecai has just put in a great little comment here. He's kind of pushing back against the blind tasting philosophy a little bit. He says when he goes to the baker's to buy a pie, he doesn't buy a mystery pie and then guess if it's he buys a cherry pie and then judges it on how much it tastes of cherry.
That's a fair thing.
I love it. Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah. I quite like the idea of a mystery pie, though. Like, let's make that a thing.
Fun. But how mystery are we talking? Savory or sweet? Like, what if it's a chicken pie versus are we talking that level of mystery?
This is a good point. My friend is she's Dutch Thai, so she was born in Thailand, but she grew up in Holland, in Belgium. Sorry, Paul, if you're watching. And when she got together with a Scottish guy, and she moved to Scotland, went round to her father-in-law's house for the first time at Christmas, and he said, would you like to try a mince pie? And she said, yeah, okay. So she bit into it thinking it was going to be savoury, like ground beef. And she's got like all these like raisins and sugar and stuff. She's like, what is this? Get out of my mouth. Like, so like, yeah, you know, you're going to want to know if it's sweet or savory. Like, yeah, if you're having a mystery pie, for sure.
You know, I feel her pain. So was she expecting a mince pie, as in savory,
like,
mince meat?
Like, yeah, exactly, like beef.
Yeah.
And then.
So I went to when I was about 8 years old. Went to a carol. I mean, God, I hate that stuff. But a carol singing thing with my mum and dad's friends or somewhere in the village. Awful, just awful. But I was promised mince pies. They're like, right, we'll go to the carol singing. That's brilliant. I'll get my mince pie. And for whatever reason, it's never logged in my. I mean, I'm not very academic, so I probably don't retain information that well. Hence why I went sailing instead of, you know, getting a real job. And so off I went on the promise of a mince pie to this carol singing that I absolutely was not into. Mum and dad's friends, like, right, this will be boring as you could imagine for any 8-year-old. And mince pies were there, so got exactly the same story. Got the mince pie. It was a bit less weird. It looks like there's sugar on it. Maybe it's salt. Crunched in. Got all the same. And I hated them for 20 years because of that one experience. And now I actually quite like them, if I'm honest. But it's misleading. It's missold PPI. That
it absolutely, because they're actually called mince meat pies, and you're like,
which is even worse.
What the?
Which is even worse, mince meat.
It is. I know. So I know, because off the back of the story, my friend Paul, she's like, in Scotland, you put everything in a pie. And it's like, well, I think you're exaggerating. She's like, you even put pasta in a pie. I'm like, no, I'm going to draw the line there. We do not put pasta in a pie. She's like, macaroni pies. I'm like, I know, fair enough.
We do. and we put Mars bars in the deep fryer, and we are absolutely proud of it. Please come to Scotland and experience our cuisine. It's unlike anything you'll ever try.
Why is that the one thing people remember us for? Not like the history, like the castles, the tartan, and like, oh, I like deep fried Mars bars. Like, how is that the one thing people remember about us? It's insane.
Well, remember, in 100 years' time, when people remember the deep fried Mars bar, that will be history. That will be
exactly. Exactly.
Well,
maybe and inventions of the television and the phone and whatever else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In 100 years' time from now, we'll be remembered for inventing the deep fried Mars bar.
We've invented.
When they're looking back to see how a whole nation died of. Go on.
No, go, Kat. Finish. What were you saying?
I was just going to say, when they're looking back to see how a whole nation died of like high cholesterol and diabetes, like, what did go wrong? Oh no, wait, there it was. Deep fried Mars.
We solved the world population problem proudly through deep fried Mars bars. Yeah. Maybe a good business model would be we will hire out a castle every summer. And the tourists will flood in, and within the walls of the castle, so we're getting traditional history of Scotland, and within there'll be a deep fat frying stall, you know, a kilt making stall, a whiskey make, you know, and we'll just encompass everything in there, and we'll go like, this is Scotland in one castle.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, and then we just deep fry the castle. It was Stonehaven that invented deep fried Mars bar, which I only found out recently. I didn't know that we were actually to blame for it up here either.
I don't know if it's a shop that invented it or a customer. I think the story is that a customer walked in with a Mars bar and said, "Can you deep fry that for me?"
Yeah,
really,
that's what it was. Yeah,
that is brilliant.
When we were kids at school, I'm similar ages to you. Look, I remember going into school and it was just.
You're similar ages to his sister. Don't even bullshit or like, I know how old you are.
Well, that's close enough, isn't it?
Did you say, are you 30 or are you 40?
He's the younger one. He's 38.
Oh,
his sister's 40.
Okay. Sorry, I misheard what you said. So I'm closer to ages than your sister. But
I thought you were asking Kat there, which is why I didn't answer. I thought you were asking Kat what age she was. I'm 39 this year, though.
Right. So I'm 42. So we're all about the same age. But I remember going to school and it was just the start of this big fad. And I went and bought a Boost and thought, you know, I'm going to get the guys to deep fry a Boost. Boosts don't work. I think it's too soft in the fryer and I ruined the chipper. And the whole thing just fell apart and they had to clean out the whole pan and stuff.
Remind me what a Boost is again. Is that is the packaging kind of like a metallic-y blue, almost purpley, and it's quite chewy, isn't it? There's like
Yeah,
crispy,
yeah.
crunchy bits on the top.
It was kind of like a soft nougat, but a caramel into it as well.
It's got like
And I
biscuit
think there's
bits in
nuts
it.
or something through it.
Yeah, it's like little
Yeah.
hard bits of biscuit in there or something, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. There's a little crunch
Yeah.
to it, wasn't there? Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I swear it would have been a Glaswegian that would have done that. I'm a big fan of the madness of Glasgow, so I would have put my money on that it would have been Glasgow that was invented. But I've been surprised by Stonehaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
some of the comments coming through. Jeremy Watson, the archaeology dig in 500 years when they find a deep fried Mars bar and a chippy in Stonehaven.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what, because I find, digging up things and finding 1,000-year-old Pictish relics. I think it's absolutely incredible. And what we can pick up about their lifestyle because we've found a vase, it's just nuts. How we know we're right about that, I have no idea. We could just be guessing. But in 500 years' time, yes, people are going to be digging up, little wee bottles like this, and judging us on this life that we led with all these glass and
Totally.
Yeah.
And actually, that's quite interesting. Do you know? I tell you what would be super cool would be to because was it a Kiwi archaeologist found something like 19 bottles of Shackleton's, like a hut down in Antarctica or Elephant Island or somewhere. Is it something like that? Found 19 odd bottles, maybe it was more, whatever it was, of bottles that had been dug underground, stored the bottles, earth over the bottles, found them, and then wasn't it old the nose? Wasn't it Richard Patterson was embarked on the journey?
Yeah, because it was a White Mackay kind of.
Yeah, to replicate the flavor profile of it all. So, if I owned a distillery, and I hope I do one day, for clarity, I would be burying deep under, like, say you've got a well for your water for the distillery, so you've already got something dug. I'd be digging down and burying bottles of through the ages, just for somebody like to one day maybe find them and go, oh, once upon a time, whatever, Patience Distillers were settled here, and here is their, and or something like that, you find bottles hundreds of years later. If I was a distillery, I'd be digging down, chucking stuff down there and filling it all up again. I know everything we find now is kind of probably by mistake, and no one's doing that. But there's very few things you can do now that are new and different or by mistake. So I'd be.
They found King Richard in a little car park or something like that.
That's so good. That is great. I love that.
They did. Well,
was he in the middle aisle?
Yeah, he had some like net curtains and like a sort of some painting equipment and a power drill.
Yeah, exactly. And a set of fake Crocs on a dressing gown.
Bluey wallpaper.
Cheap trainers. Well, it was so up in Aberdeenshire. We've got Tap of North, which is a hill opposite Ardmore Distillery. We're on theme today. I'm like literally just rolling out the script just now. But when the what do you call them? The people that dig up old shit.
Archaeologists.
Archaeologists. Thank you. The
or ex-wives.
Yeah, right. Choose your crowd, Mike. Seriously.
Oh, God.
Telling your wife. Wait a minute. How far in are we so I can get her to watch back? I'm just going to time stamp that. I'm going to totally tell her on you.
I don't have an ex-wife, so
you don't. Yeah. So when they excavate, not yet. When they excavated Tab of North, they found like clay pots. So this is like Pictish time. So they found clay wine pots from the Mediterranean. Like people from Aberdeenshire were literally trading with the Mediterranean, like during the Pictish time, which is like, what, how long ago? Like ages ago. Like, yeah,
Wait, hold
like
on.
1,000 years.
But this morning felt like ages ago right now. So what are we talking about ages ago?
Yeah, so like, how long ago was the Picts? Jeremy, what? Go on.
Over 2,000
Like,
years ago, your Picts are
over 2,000 years ago.
Really? So do you
Yeah,
think
people-
possibly brought up during the in the Roman, is that Roman Empire kind of timeline? It's roughly that, isn't it?
Yeah, thereabouts, yeah.
So like, yeah,
Wow,
like
that's interesting. I love that.
So Aberdeenshire folk would do anything for a bevy even 2,000 years ago. You know, this is before we were deep frying Mars bars.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. But because of that, because they excavated Tapa North, it kind of turned on their head what they know about the main seats of power of the Pictish kingdoms. So up to that point, they thought it was in Perthshire, and they excavated Tapa North, and they realised that actually the main seat of power is probably here, up in Aberdeenshire. So it's kind of just based on what they found there. And
do you think that would have been by boat or by foot?
I mean, I suppose it would have been boat, right? I mean, that would be a long old walk over to.
Yeah, long old walk, but maybe not. I mean, yeah. I suppose it depends on the boats, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like people were traveling around loads back then, though, because like, yeah, the Vikings like really got around the world and stuff, and the Romans, you know, they like just turn up and claim ownership of places. So like people weren't traveling.
Yeah,
but it's pretty cool to think about that. And,
yeah, really cool.
It's educational tonight. Like we've covered all bases.
I've enjoyed that.
Like I hope you feel like you're getting.
I like learning something. Good.
But I mean, when you talk about the Roman Empire, they were so vast and so interconnected. It's, you know, I don't know if you've seen the film The Eagle. It's about the 9th Battalion, 9th Legion. It's a famous Roman legion. It got lost in Scotland. So there's loads of theories about what happened. It's quite mythological, but they've found parts of a mosaic which relates to the 9th Legion over in Holland, and they reckon this was dated to after it was lost in Scotland. And like, it's just bizarre how, you know, they say we're trading with the Mediterranean for wine and stuff. It's like we're, you know, our Picts have got connections to Holland, or going back 2,000 years ago, the trades that we were doing globally is just nuts.
Yeah, it's cool that. I really like all that. So, at the risk of getting too deep into this now, have you watched Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix?
No.
So, I'm not about to spout out some conspiracy theory. However, so I can't remember the reporter's guy's name. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It clearly matters who he is, but anyway, he's actually a journalist, and he's watch it. It's great. Just get on Netflix, watch it. So he is exploring different sites around planet Earth, where he is essentially saying, he's not suggesting anything weird. He's not saying, oh, there's aliens here, or oh, there's the X, Y, Z. All he is, and it could be that. All he is saying is, this is much, 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 much older than we ever gave Homo sapiens credit for.
Right.
In terms of being able to build, like tooling, how they build stuff. Much older, much more ambitious, and he would say we can't explain, like, with what we know today, that's not explicable. There isn't something that we know without the timeline of the Homo sapien and what's happened here. So that's all he's saying. He's just saying, I don't think what we think our history is right. I think, and he's sort of alluding to, he's sort of going, I wonder if there's a lost civilization that was more advanced. There's something happened on a global scale that wiped them all out. That's all he's saying. He's not going in some weird hole with it. It's brilliant. And when you watch it, you go, well, God, you know, there's like, forget the pyramids. He's way earlier than that. Like long time before that.
But have they not
It gets your head going.
Have they not discovered like under the pyramids as like something crazy deep crypts and stuff like that?
I would absolutely love if in our timeline, lifetime. You know, I want to be the generation where they recognize they got it all wrong, and there's some madness comes to light, and I mean the madness upon like mental madness, whether it be aliens or their giants existed or we are some experiment in a. I would love that.
Yeah.
It better not be aliens. I've got some things to say to them if it's aliens.
Not to be aliens.
Really
I would love it if it was aliens. Maybe we are we're the aliens and we're not meant to be here.
Well,
say again.
Maybe we're the aliens.
Well, yeah, possibly. I'm kind of all for it. I'm all for it. I love a good shake-up, so I'm all good for it.
I like there's still mystery out there. We need to have the mystery. We shouldn't understand everything. There definitely needs to be a bit of mystery out there.
Do you think we are on that cusp that science is proving too much and we're doing too much, that we're losing a little bit of romance and mythological kind of ideas? That
I mean, I like the science for medicine. Like the whole medicine and hygiene I'm enjoying in terms of science and technology, but like maybe some of the mystery. We maybe do need a bit of the mystery, because like storytelling, like humans had a history of storytelling, didn't they? Because they'd explain the unknown through storytelling. So it'd be a shame if we lost that art because we knew the answer to everything. You're like, oh, one day the sun rose and that's science. Like, you know, that's not a story really, is it? Like you kind of need a little bit of romance behind that. And
I reckon we might be on the cusp of, because nothing's very easy to be hidden now because of every human being. There's 8 billion people, all of them with a camera in the pocket, you know. So I reckon we could be on the cusp of, if, and it's an if because I'm not saying there is, if there were secrets held by higher powers, governments, things like that, and it's very hard to keep a secret these days, I reckon we could be on the cusp of certain things coming to light that we just accepted as the norm because we're told. I don't know what they are.
Did they not open up a whole pile of redacted files to do with aliens recently, of like all the reports that we didn't get to know about, and like they
made a film series about that, I think. Men in Black, I think it was called.
It's factually accurate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about all things secret, Rick has asked, I want to know what's in the cabinet behind Luke's head, but I think that is your shutters for your window, right?
Yeah, shutters. Yeah.
It's not a secret cabinet. It's a proper kind of. Are you based in Glasgow or Edinburgh? Is it just like a
Edinburgh? Yeah,
Edinburgh. So he's just that's an Edinburgh flat, is what that is, with some nice shutters.
Yeah,
probably Morningside, but we won't make judgments.
Morningside? No, it's not. No, it's more central than that. Luckily, but I won't tell you where. It's a secret.
That is a secret.
Good night to Dave Ackerson. His night time is way overdue, so that's a good sign. Look, he's been thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Straight up passing bedtime. But good night, Dave. Hopefully, we'll see you.
We are probably going to lose half the audience to the Aqua Vitae chat anyway soon, right? Aren't we? What time is it? I know.
What's the Aqua Vitae chat?
It's the next like live chat, whiskey chat thing with Roy. I didn't watch it. I was trying there, Mike. You're going to have to fill in the blanks there.
Oh, right.
So it's a weekly live show done by Roy Duff. Is it Duff? His last name's gone completely out of my head. I think it's Roy Duff.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
it is, isn't it?
it's he kind of born out of lockdown and a fascinating following, over 40,000 people.
Yeah, it's big.
A lot of the guys who are on here are fans of it. Dutch Jura and who else have we got watching? Pete Head, Frank's there, Tim, Rick, and it's fascinating. I thoroughly recommend it. The detail that Roy goes into, and some topics, and it's a theme chat. Usually, sometimes there's guests, and he'll open bottles, and sometimes it's about new distilleries, sometimes it's about grain v malt, and or things that are happening, current trends, and that. It's well worth tapping into.
Yeah, so cool.
Aquavitae, AQVATIAE, I think is.
No, VITAE, isn't it? Oh, doesn't matter. Yeah, you'll find it if you Google it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check that out.
YouTube barflies, and you'll find it. A lot of the guys on here are what we know as barflies.
Yeah.
And they do. Yeah. He has like writers that he'll put up. Like he's got a little pool of writers, hasn't he? And he puts up like their posts on his website.
Have you heard of Dramface?
Yes.
Yeah, so Dramface, Roy's involved in Dramface, and it's a lot of the same folk. It's not Dramface itself, but it's the same kind of followers.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So all these things that you guys are doing are great. It's great fun. It's good to have a little chat. It's a good excuse to open a couple of different drams as well, which you might not normally do yourself.
Yeah,
kind of a good wee, not excuse is not the right word, but just a little occasion to go have a blether, hence the name of
hence your name.
Hence your name, have a blether, and have, I've done 4 different whiskies tonight, which I probably wouldn't have had one if I was, I would have had a cup of tea and gone to bed.
Still be practicing on the driving range if you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd be on the driving range now, swearing.
Talking about a different whiskey, I'm going to go back to my first one, which is the 30-year-old grain at Strathclyde. Absolutely, 70 quid, £75 for a 30-year-old. I don't care if that's grain.
That's such good value. What ABV is that?
It's a natural cask at 43%. So
natural 43.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
there's a lot of drunk angels up there then right now, isn't there?
They've taken their fair scalp with that one. Does it taste like tonic cakes? Tea cakes?
I can't confirm or deny that it tastes, because it's been about 12 years since I've had a tonics tea cake.
Are they gluten?
The biscuit part is gluten.
Oh, of course it is, yeah.
I put into PX Woodhouse was asking. It's milk chocolate. It's biscuity. It's oaty. It's sweet. I didn't get any marshmallow, which I think is probably the biggest note of a tonics tea cake. That's defining. But I didn't get marshmallow. As it opened in the glass, it got sweeter. It got sticky sweet, which maybe could allude to that. But it's 100% a grain whiskey. You've got that obvious kind of sweet, grassy, sweet. I was going to say malty note, but that biscuity note is in there. It's bloody good. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. It's, I would highly recommend it. We don't normally do shameless plugs on the Blether.
Yeah. That's all right. It's not a plug. It's just you're enjoying your whiskey, aren't you?
Absolutely. I haven't tried any of the other range of the released 5 technically, 2 Calvadoses, which I'm very excited about. I love Calvados. So Little Brown Dog have got 2 Calvados, one in an ex-hard Arran cask, and one in a Sauternes cask.
It's like bringing together Andrew's favourite things, isn't it? He loves Arran Distillery and he loves Calvados.
Yeah. The description of it was it's Calvados and Arran. So makes sense.
No brainer. Yeah. It's I've really enjoyed, because we did an old grain as a North Brit and a 29-year-old North British, and kind of only I would say that was us doing that was my first taster into older grains. Obviously, we did a bit of sampling and things like that, and the usual stuff. But old grain for me is a door that I opened, or for myself, I mean, or the door. I'd never been down that road ever until last year, and or a couple of years ago rather. And it's just stunning. I love it, and I love it because it's clearly not got the same type of characters as a malt, and it's got a nod for me towards a bourbon, but it doesn't go that way. It doesn't. It is old grain for me is its own category in itself, and I'm sure depending on what grain it is changes that as well. Like I'm no expert in old grain whatsoever, but it's definitely an area that I'm looking forward to experiencing more, and it's for sure a corner of the whiskey world that I think commands its own place.
100%. It's untapped in terms of Joe Public. A lot of guys in the industry and the guys watching at home who are obviously into their whiskey enough to be watching a live show about whiskey on a Thursday night will know about grain. Whether they like it or not is a different story altogether, but it's such a great market that I think needs malt has the name, and that's the industry's own doing, putting malt on a pedestal and kind of poo-pooing on blend throughout the 70s and 80s, and kind of saying, don't do blends, drink the pure whiskey. We're now finding some of these old grains are just, and if you approach it and knowing it's a grain and knowing it's going to taste different to malt, then you'll enjoy it. It's almost like drinking a brandy or a Calvados or a rum and saying that's not whiskey. You're like, well, of course it's not. It's not. It's category. It doesn't go down well if you throw it into a blind tasting because it's so different. I think it's a kind of drink that people need to know that they're going to experience something different. You need to say this is a grain whiskey. It is going to be different, and this is why.
Jason, it's funny you say that. I was doing a blind, well, not fully blind, but it was a whiskey tasting, and that exact thing happened. Is an old grain was thrown in the mix, and I was just confused, and the confusion put me off until. So I think you're spot on. There's nothing wrong with a bit of context, and I definitely think there. I wonder if Fragrant Drops have done an amazing job of. They've done a few old grains there, and some I say younger in inverted commas, like 15-year-old grains. They've done younger. It's still
just banging. So good.
And I think we might, in 5 years we might look back on today and go, my God, old grain was cheap. You could get some. You just said, was Little Brown Dog there 70? Did you say 70 quid?
Yeah, 75 quid for a 30-year-old.
75 quid for 3 decades sat waiting. That in today's climate, that's mental. That should be sold out tonight. That should be sold out now.
On that bit of grain, that's 750 quid.
Yeah. I think in 5 years we'll look back and go, goodness, I wish I'd bought every single bottle and cask of grain on planet Earth in 2025. What a shame we didn't think to do that.
It is. It's maybe just that it needs to catch up because you look at 30 years ago, you were picking up probably less than that. You were picking up 30-year-old malt whiskey for probably 50 quid, 60 quid.
Yeah. We just don't have there's not the poetry around the creation of grain. That's what kills it in terms of that. But if we're talking about flavor first, then I don't know. It's gonna do good things only from here. It's not gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Well, don't tell everyone because we've still got time to get a bottle of that. If you keep talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The retail butts.
I'm getting up tomorrow and running to the shops to get a Little Brown Dog 30-year-old Did you say Strathclyde?
Strathclyde, yeah. Yeah, refill sherry, but
Am I going to like that though? Because I don't like sweet. I don't like Tennessee cakes. Like already, my brain's saying you're not going to like that. But I really like the label just because like I really like pretty.
what I'll do for you, Kat, is if you come down to the shop, I will pour you some whiskey blind, and one of them will be.
Are you trying to get me to put in a shift? Is this like a ruse to get me to work? It bloody is.
I'll pour you like 4 whiskeys, and you can taste them all. I won't tell you what's in them, and then you can decide if you like it.
That's the best way of doing it. Definitely, I've learned my lesson that way as well, doing a blind tasting.
And right after that, we'll do the wine gum test for you.
I know, because you never set that up. You promised me the wine gum challenge, and we never set it up either. So yeah, we've got a whole day to plan out. We better get our Filofaxes together.
Filofaxes, yeah.
Just to we were talking blends and we're talking malts and stuff, and I can't remember how we got into this story of wine gums, but Kat hates the black wine gums.
Nobody likes black wines.
I don't think I do.
I was saying, if you I think it's Skittles. I think I mentioned is like people have preferences of Skittles, and like if you buy a packet of Skittles, you don't pick out an orange one and eat only. You put them in your hand, you shove them all in your mouth. We're kind of comparing it to blends, whereas one bad flavor in a mouthful of good flavors doesn't go unnoticed. And Kat insisted she would be able to pick out black wine gums, so I'm going to cut up a bag of wine gums and blend black ones through some of it and not through others. And we're going to see if you can figure out where the black wine gums are.
Yeah. That's a level of
because I would say that's blasphemy. You want to enjoy the flavor of which wine gum is which color, but then that goes against the fact that we've done a whiskey that's been in 4 casks.
Well,
so,
that's it.
Why? What was the reason? I meant to ask you this. Why did you put it through 4 casks? Was it that you wanted to challenge it and see where it would go, or was it, you know what, this isn't working, we want to change direction of the cask?
It's a couple of things really. So the wasn't perfectly happy with where the cask was at after its first stint so going into a second fill Oloroso. After taking the cask on, second fill Oloroso, I was like, no, it's not singing to me here. So then I thought, I remember thinking to myself, I wonder if you could pull every flavor of every corner of the flavor wheel into one bottle, minus the peated bit because it's unpeated whiskey. Could you create a dram that is a challenge, not in a way which is challenging you because it's maybe high ABV or it burns a bit, but just a challenge as in you come back to each sip and you get something different. I wanted it to be a real journey whiskey. And so the idea sprung more out of its first finish not being that exciting to me anyway. So that's the excitement was born off the back of that. And so the goal then became, could I create a umami dram? Could I create umami in a whiskey and pull it on this journey that will have you guessing, keep you coming back, and importantly, make it memorable? And so that's where that. Okay, funnily enough, so some of the casks were fresh and required regular tasting. Some of I was like, let's just sit it in there for a while, and so the kind of regular samples was really interesting. I honestly, in my heart of hearts, I wish we hadn't bottled it yet. I wanted to continue it on its crazy journey. It was actually to be honest, it was the schedule of the festival season that kind of pushed me into a timeline with it. Like, could I get it out for the Glasgow show in January?
Yeah.
Which obviously has a date, and actually it got to I think my final sample was early January this year. I was like, that's good. That is great. It is weird and wonderful. It is, for me, it was umami, and so I decided to bottle it. I do wonder, without any timeline, whether I'd still be chucking it from one barrel to another now. And I mean, the trouble is with constant re-racking is back to the point of some drunk angels up there, is you give away a heap. Like, there's a huge cost, and I don't mean financially. There's a huge cost into that many re-racks. So, which I've no issue with, but there comes a point, where it's quickly diminishing down the ABV scale, and I like higher ABV'd whiskey, so I don't want it to drop too far. And it was still just in the mid 50s. It's like, right, I think this is where this particular journey comes to a close. So there's a bit of planning and there's a bit of organic kind of vibe about it.
Cool. No, that's cool. It's very honest as well. I love it. It's just like, where do we go? Where can we take it? I think we've got a great story. Is Mark next week? Mark's on.
Yeah, it just reminded me of Mark talking about that cask he could never get quite right. And obviously the synesthesia chat we've had too, we do have Mark on next week.
Oh, cool.
Mark's had a different conversation about a cask that he re-racked, and he even said that sometimes you just can't get it right. And then all of a sudden somebody came along and says, well, I like that, I'll buy it. And he's like, are you sure?
Do you want a sample? Yeah. Please, do you want a sample? Do you know what though? Like, one of the things I'm learning is virgin oak is an amazing vehicle to take it, turning the road, because it's so versatile. With your char and your toast, you can choose different routes to take the whiskey. I'm not saying you can't suddenly change the character of a dram, but virgin oak does wonderful things in my opinion, to just turn a dram somewhere, because you can really sweeten it, you can desulfur it, if that's a word. You can sit it for, and it does it quickly because it's young, and depending what you do with the char and the toast, I'm learning that it's not. And one thing I would say is that I'm not trying to take whiskey away from the distillers. Do the incredible work and the hard work, and we've talked about fermentation time, strains of yeast, you've got how you cool the vapors, all that stuff. They do the incredible. So we're not trying to escape from what the distillers have done. We're just trying to elevate it and do some alchemy in the background. But I like to think that the character of the distillery's whiskey is still somewhere in there, and it very much is. And so one of the things I'm pleased about is our I'm putting it in front of the screen there, our Taninic, that we've talked about already. For me, Taninic is got life and zestiness. It's a short finish. It's peppery, and it's memorable for that reason, that it's short and peppery, and it's a bit of a firework in your mouth. It might not be some long, drawn-out, smooth, but that's the beauty of that. I feel like that still exists despite all the wood we've put it through, and so it's important to try we're not running from what the distilleries have done. We're just adding some jazz to it, we're just doing a little guitar solo, in amongst the song that's already there.
Jazz hands round about it. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, he does. Obviously, it's a fun brand. It's some fun whiskey. It's kind of epitomizes what we think of in terms of independent bottlers. Of you've got that scope to take something and play around with it in the way that the distillery doesn't always get to do. They probably want to if they could, but sometimes they've got to stick to a format, whereas you guys could take something, learn what it means, and then maybe just build on it with some fun maturation. So yeah, I love that about you guys. It's exciting to see what you're up to and follow your journey, because you're still quite fresh into the game, but you're definitely but you're definitely making some waves, because you produce a good whiskey. So it'd be fun to see what you guys get up to over the next couple of years too.
Yeah, no,
We'll,
thank you.
And then
we'll
I'd
get you
love
back
to
on.
say to the guys who are watching who've lasted this long as well, you know, to look out for you on our shelves. It'd be great to get you.
Yeah, we got to do that. Let's get some Unkiltered up to your shelves. I'll come up as well, and we can make a bit of fun out of it. And
We'll do this all again in person.
Exactly. I can sit there and talk about it in person and get some people experiencing it firsthand. We've got some
research before that happens, so we need to research Pictish history. We need to research archaeology. We need to research aliens. We need to research
sailing,
language, pronunciation, West Coast Islands.
I've lost it at hands. Yeah,
we've got
jazz hands as well.
Jazz hands, yeah. What guitar solo is being played next?
So much that we need to cover.
Yeah.
It definitely epitomizes what the Blether is. So you fully embraced it. So thank you very much for that.
I was going to
exactly
say,
what the
I
Blether
feel guilty. I think there was about an hour's period there which we were talking about anything other than whiskey. We're talking about aliens, everything you've just labelled, like. But
do you know what I love? I wasn't the instigator at this time. Usually it's me that starts going down random rabbit holes. This is entirely on you, Luke. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm good at that. We'll just quickly squeeze it in. Whiskey's great. Let's all drink whiskey because whiskey's brilliant, and every brand is cool. Take what you like, drink it how you like. Done.
100%. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, you are welcome back on whenever. So definitely don't be a stranger. Keep us up to date with everything you release and all your exciting projects, and let us know where you are and what shows you're attending. And guys, if you see Luke at a show, definitely go over and say hello and let him know who you are.
Please do, yeah. Come and say hello. We're probably on the cusp of another couple of bottlings very soon, so look out for them. They'll be just as interesting in their flavor profiles, different colors, of course.
What festivals are you coming up? Have you got coming up?
A wee break now, and then I think I need to get my phone out and look at my calendar. I think the next festival might be Aberdeen in September.
Oh, cool. I'll see you there.
I know. I thought I could well imagine that. I'm just flicking through. Yes, August, blah, blah. Oh, maybe Spirit of Alba, and then in August, and then, Aberdeen in September. So we break on the actual show side of things for the next wee while.
Well, I'll definitely see it that one anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll get a few bottlings out
over the summer for a wee barrel top or an in-house tasting or something. And
that'd be brilliant. Let's definitely do that. Yeah, we'll stay in contact after this, and we won't bore any listeners with that stuff now. But yeah, let's do it. Let's do that after this. Yeah.
I mean, if they're not bored already, you know.
Well, yeah, exactly. They had to. They probably heard the word aliens / conspiracy theory and just went, "Oh God, right, I'm signing off now and go to bed."
What they would have said is, "Not again."
Yeah.
It comes up more often than you think.
Okay, good.
But guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to host for you tonight. We love your contributions. The comments have been great, and quite often tonight is a good example of that. How your comments at home direct the conversation and lead us into wherever it is. Can't wait for next week. Next week we've got Mark Watt of Watt Whiskey. So get involved. Come back and see us 7:30 next Thursday, and we'll say good night. And thank you very much once again.
Cheers, guys.
Perfect. Slàinte mhath, everyone. Thanks for listening.